Everyone can hear. The great thing about it, I can delete the awful intro sections earlier. So, yeah, hello and welcome to everybody. Nomad stream, little one-off special. We've got Exotic Retard here, one of the devs behind it. He's going to walk us through some of the Nomads goodness that we have here on FAF that we don't actually get a lot of time to talk about. Can't hear the dog. Yeah, hopefully the dog will keep his mouth stum for once tonight. He's pretty chill.
And there's hopefully be plenty
but there will
of
be
goodness
plenty of goodness. Yeah, so we're going to have a little chat about Nomads and what have you, and then we're going to look at some tourney action. So, Exotic, give us the background. Who started the whole Nomads thing? Who was the original guy?
Well, here's the best part.
It's a mystery. This is the digital age. Nothing is a mystery. Everything's recorded.
To get out the detectives, right? So the Nomads mod is actually very old. It's from 2007, and it started on the GPG forums. And so the original authors, I don't actually know who they are. And that's me as a developer for the Nomad.
Was it just like a concept, or was it there was an actual working kind of mod going?
Yeah, it was a working kind of mod, right, from 2007, or at least it had things going for it. I don't really know what happened back then. And then it died, the team died, and it got replaced by a new team. And then the new team made new models, they replaced everything. And then that team died, and it got replaced by a new team, and then they changed the art style again.
Madness.
Right? And and then our team came along in 2017, and then we had some hiccups along the way. So actually, it's a very kind of legacy sort of project where it's passed down from one generation
business.
to the next.
But that's kind of in the spirit of FAF, though, isn't it? I mean, that, you know.
Absolutely. So it's interesting that mod has kind of survived 13 years, so it's older than FAF.
That's mad.
And it's sort of just gone through total iterations. So it's changed its art style at least twice. It's changed its lore at least 3 times. But every time, you kind of keeping the idea of the Nomads, and then every team comes on with a slightly old idea of what that really means.
So run us through what you guys have been involved with since, what was it, 2017? You said
2017. That's right. So what we did is we changed the art style to a kind of darker color. So they used to be bright orange, which was a bit weird because if you had the orange team color and you had the orange
garish.
background, it was just a completely orange unit. It's like, oh wow, the tangerine faction. But so what we did is we changed it to a black color, which pairs well with the orange. We kept the orange as the main faction. And then it works with every team color now. And then what we're going through is we're just going through the whole code. We've refactored it because it wasn't working at all at one point. So it runs now. So that's good. You can play games.
That does help.
And yeah, definitely. It's a key. It's one of my key points. You know, I was just thinking, what does Nomad need? Oh yeah, it needs to actually function. And basically, we're just going through the graphics right now, just replacing all the units one at a time, and just overhauling the code as well while we're at it. So we went through a big code cleanup, and now we're actually going through a second code cleanup because the code there was some crazy stuff in there.
So who's we? Who's working on all of this with you?
Yes. The answer is yes. So we do have a team. So I'm kind of let's call me the person who does everything that nobody else wants to do. And
the lackey.
And then we have the madmen, right? Who are the team. So that we've got our master, who's a modeler, and then Clockwork, who works on the story, and he's also a modeler. And then we've got 2 people who's working on the missions. Actually 3 now. So that's Shadow Lord. JJ has recently resurrected himself, and Speed 2. They're working on the Nomads campaign. Speed 2.
Oh, yes.
The king of campaign missions. Yeah, so key veteran on there. And then we just have a few more helpers, like, Stephen, who probably nobody knows, but he's helping out with code. and stuff
Awesome.
like that. So there's actually a unit in there from Balthazar who made the Brulin mod. So that's inside. That's a Nomads air staging that was made by him. But yeah, most of the work, and then I'm just doing the coordination, right? So I do the textures, I clean up the models after they're sent to the models.
He's being so modest,
sure
ladies and gentlemen. Listen to it. Sounds integral.
Yeah. All I do is I just kind of keep it running, right? Just make sure that everyone's got, everyone's doing stuff. I'm the key motivator.
Well, I mean, something like this must take an awful lot of it. Like, it's a labor of love, right?
So I actually time myself how much I time on various work things, and basically Nomads comes out about 600 hours a year.
I'm almost tired thinking about it.
And that's just me.
That is madness.
Yeah, and that's about 10 to 15 units per year.
So you still,
right?
I mean, where are you at? Are you at full kind of unit count now where you want to be, or is there plans for more, or what?
There are 2 units that are being added.
And that's it, and then you're done and then it's just balancing and what have you, presumably.
Yeah, well, it's just replacing, right? So there are 2 units that need to be added, which aren't in the mod now, and everything else is graphics work, and there's also kind of balancing involved. So, for instance, some units have the wrong weapon on them, so you need to change the model in order to change the weapon. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, right? So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing going on there. And but otherwise, mod works, and it's designed in such a way that if I was to disappear tomorrow, if the rest of the team was to disappear tomorrow, you still have a totally playable mod, which is balanced.
How are you, speaking with sort of the powers that be in FAF and what have you, what's the relationship like between you guys? I mean, have you guys discussed making it kind of properly official? I mean, it's not in ladder, is it? Is it ever going to be in ladder? Is it ever going to be an official part of FAF? Or
I haven't really had that discussion with the massive can of worms. So what's the current state of the mod is it's a featured mod, so you can't download it in the mod vault. You have to set it as a game mod, and it's automatically updated, so you don't need to download versions of it or whatever. So it's integrated that way, but fully integrated into the main patch, that probably I'm not even going to try doing that until the graphics are done.
Sure.
Right, because then I can make a proper pitch. Because right now it's some of it's not up to my standards, and it's kind of, I'd say it's a bit lower than GPG quality. But if we get it to equal or higher than GPG quality,
some of it is. But do you know what? I was looking at some replays earlier, man, and I think you're being a little critical. Maybe here and there it could do with some tweaks, but there's some stuff which is in my opinion makes some of the 2007 stuff looks shabby by comparison. Some of it looks absolutely awesome.
Well, maybe you're
I might be. That's my problem. I'm not well versed enough to know what's new and what's old.
Yeah. Well, if it looks awesome, it's probably a new model. There's your problem.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then it's constantly being worked. So we've just released a patch recently for the tourney, which is why I messed up all your replay plans.
I had no plans. I looked at some, but it's...
Spoiler alert, Gaia had prepared a top secret replay, but in the time that it took us to organize this, we released a new patch for Nomad, so the replay is now obsolete.
Do you know what? I have a feeling this will be better. Tell us about this replay that we've got today.
Oh, it's the finals of the 2v2 Nomads tourney, which has recently gone off, and that's there was a cash prize tourney with $90
infinitely more
prize
prestigious. Pool. Much better idea.
Oh yeah, and it's the final, so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a 2 versus 2, where 2 people are Nomads and 2 people are not Nomads, and not Mads.
Mads and not Mads.
Yeah, that's right. It's our server, our Discord server, is called the Mad Secret Server.
Absolutely awesome.
And the team is called the Mad Men. So it's great. Going to be super exciting.
Ideal. Well, I will get that booted up then, and we will check it out. So if you were enjoying the pics and what have you of the concept art. Apologies, guys, because we will go over to the game zone and see what's going down. And a lovely long black screen there. That's what we like to see. Well, there we go. Triggers. How's things coming through on your end, Exotic? Are you seeing this?
Well, I've got to admit, we've got a bit of a hiccup. So what I can see is I think you started sharing your Discord program and not the screen. So if you maybe you can minimize Discord or something, because I caught just a glimpse.
No.
No. You need to stop it and restart it. There we go. The hiccup.
So I'll hold on to the stream there. Nothing but technical brilliance here at Guilecast as always, and we'll get this ironed out. So let me just see what you can see. So hang on. Change windows. Let me just see. So, aha, how about now? There we go. You see, eventually we get there. We're not the sharpest tools in the book, but eventually we get there.
Or the shed.
Unpause. So here we go. So who's in this? We've got Paralon. How do you even pronounce?
That's Eponymous. Just call him Eponymous. So, top secrets revealed, right? So Paralon is Russian, right? Eponymous is Russian, and he's the main balancer of the Nomads Mod.
He should be banned.
So one could suspect that there's a conspiracy going on where he put in a secret patch which gives him infinite mass if you press a special key combination or something.
Of the distrust immediately. So
there's a good reason he's in the tournament final. Well, let's spoil the end.
So Paralon is going Cybrin in purple, and then going yellow. Siwona Dafenuan, or would you say that was Eponymous? We're going to be calling him Eponymous because it's just easier.
Man in yellow
is Eponymous. And then Team 2 down here, Vivacious Violet, Nexus in UEF, he's on the move. And his teammate, the other Nomads, a pink fluffy noob. Does he have another name for us today?
No, he's the one and only pinkest and fluffiest
noob in burgundy red. There he goes. And with the little people not be aware, Nomads always start with a little floating ship. Is that completely redundant? Is that just aesthetics, or does it have a function?
Yes and no. So you actually can get ACU upgrades that are that fire from the ship. So instead of a TML upgrade, they have the drumroll orbital bombardment upgrade, which bombards people from orbit, right? And you actually get 2 levels of that. So, and it fires from the ship. The ship starts following your ACU around, and it bombards people. It's great, mind-blowingly awesome. I'm not sure we're going to see that here today, but we will see some other.
I bet the replay that I had scheduled had that in.
Now we can claim all sorts of things about that replay. Nobody knows what it is.
I only watched half of it. So.
See, we can say anything we want, and nobody will be able to.
Totally. So, is there any? I mean, the builds look very standard from what I can see. All very unusual. Is it all very similar and in balance-wise, keeping things in line with other factions, with the way you would start and what have you?
Nomads do have plenty of difference, but not that much. So, so all the structures pretty much the same. There are plenty of unique units to go around. There are plenty of unique roles to go around. But as far as base building is concerned, if you see a Nomads building, pretty much the same. Yeah, we're basically the kind of approach is Eponymous is my boss in terms of balancing. So he tells me what to do. In that sense, so I don't really know what the balance is as much, but the idea is that whatever's unique in the other factions is up for grabs for Nomads. So if another faction has some kind of unique unit, that means the Nomads can have it. If the other factions have something that's the same for all of them, then it should probably be the same.
Yeah, that's a fair approach. Definitely. So checking out these 2 guys. We've got scout planes out all over the shop from Team 1, having a good look-see. It's one thing I've got to say I love about the Nomads. They seem very much more like they're firing projectile style weapons, even though they're flashy, the sound effects and everything, and the way they travel, it's just, I don't know. It seems it's less pew pew and more bang bang, if that makes sense.
Nomads love guns. Nomads love guns. That's basically, they don't have any like particle weapons. They don't have any kind of, weird stuff, or at least not plan to have any. Top secrets revealed. There's a couple of weapons which you could cast as particle weapons, and they have precisely one laser on the whole faction. Which you will see in this game.
A late game thing?
It's a great laser, and it's perfect. Awesome. It's an in-game thing, yeah. You're going to see the one laser weapon that they have.
Early little bits of harass, not doing too much damage there on Team 2. How do they stack up air-wise? Are they, obviously, because you look at factions like Aeon and what have you, they was seen to have a distinct advantage in the air game. How do Nomads rank on the scale?
I would like to say king of the air, but they're pretty average. So they do have a couple of extra units in there. So they do have the T1 gunship, similar to a Jester, but with a little bit more HP and a little bit less damage. And it's also got this little interesting effect where it kind of fires like a shotgun, like burst in a high spread. So it doesn't really have AOE in the traditional sense, but it acts as if it has AOE. So that's cool. Pretty interesting. Yep, and but other than that, it's pretty similar to the Jester. And then on the T2 stage, instead of a gunship and a torpedo bomber, they have a torpedo gunship.
Torpedo gunship.
Which, that's right, it can attack both land and naval units, and there is no escape from the torpedo gunship.
And we're certain this is balanced in some way.
We're certain this is balanced because, interestingly, a torpedo bomber, what it does is, bombers in general, they drop all of their bomb at once. So, if somebody's coming to strat you with a strat, it doesn't really matter if you shoot the strat down because it's already dropped its bomb, right? And it's the same is true for the torpedo bomber. So if you get a number of torpedo bombers, you can snipe a cruiser. Cool. However, with a torpedo gunship, the whole thing, it has to fly up to the cruiser, by which point half of them are dead, right? And then it has to actually sit there and DPS. So while it has a higher DPS than the torpedo bombers, it doesn't do it all at once. So it has a distinct disadvantage as well. Or at least that's what Apophonus would claim.
And poke holes in this already.
Oh no, I'm a developer. I'm allowed to poke holes.
Part of your job.
It's my part of your duty.
Now, you see, one of the things, one of the guns I like most is actually the ACU gun itself. That makes the most satisfying with its. It's like a slow railgun kind of thing with a fiery trail. It's a thing of beauty. And of course, I was hoping right there they were going to open up on each other.
I'll tell you a secret. Yeah, too busy renaming. I'll tell you a secret. That gun effect was made by RK of the Arcade
good old
Explosions
RK,
mod.
good friend of mine.
Yeah, no, he had a hand on working with the Nomad back in 2017.
Before he fell off the face of the planet.
Yes, and he made his glorious return in 2020, where he updated his Explosions mod to also include factional explosions for Nomad. So if you play with it, you get all this like fiery
fireworks
kind of death
of goodness,
or awesomeness. Yeah, orange is the faction explosion color for the Nomad. Indeed, he was going to make some custom effects. He was going to overhaul all the weapons for the Nomad and all that stuff. Fortunately, his GPU had caused his motherboard to explode just a few months ago, and since he's having issues with the whole coronavirus lockdown, he couldn't get a new one, and he still can't get a new one.
Oh, it's the end of the world.
So, and that was the end of the world for his contribution to Nomad this year.
So is he back in the game now, so to speak, or is he still devoid of a computer?
Honestly, I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. I haven't heard from him in the last month or so.
Always a big fan of RK. Used to hang out with him a lot in chat, but I haven't heard from him in a long time. Thrilled to hear he's been involved with modding again. His explosions mod. I must have done 30 odd casts with his explosions mod when it was in vogue back in the day.
Oh yeah, have to say I've got a confession. I think his explosions mod is a bit too
never
much.
too much. More explosions all the time.
Yeah, no, me and him always had many creative discussions, let's just call it that, about how much and what the effects should be, and like, you know, so he would get me like beta test versions of the mod.
Slagging each other off.
Yeah, it's constructive criticism.
I'm trying to think what the Nomads ACU legs remind me of. They're based on something, surely. Dog legs. It's some kind of dog leg, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have single joints and you have double joints. The Nomads have double joints, and the Seraphim also have double joints.
That actually never occurred to me. I got to see Pink Fluffy Noob fire one shot there, and by the time I'd zoomed in, he'd finished. I'm sure we'll get some more action in a minute.
Yeah. So one interesting thing is that these guys have custom reclaim effects, which you can actually see. The green lasers.
I just caught an edge of that. So how many people in this tourney then?
It was at least 8 teams. To be honest, I should know a lot better. I directed the tourney.
When you spend that much time, though, it all kind of merges into one, doesn't it? And it's...
Yeah. Though it was at least 8 teams. It was less than 20, so it wasn't enough to get 16. It was somewhere around 8, 10, and they were all 2K players, right? So it was very good turnout for the tourney. It was 4,000 rating capped, and quite a lot of people got like on the edge of that. So there was a number of teams which went. It's a very high level play overall. Yeah, some fun games in there. So this is.
So when did this go down?
It's a couple of weeks back.
Probably when I was languishing on a campsite against my will.
Yeah, I think it was about a couple of weeks back. Yeah.
300-degree heat. It's just been so oppressive. Gotta love the building effects.
They got upgraded in the latest patch, which you can't even see because it's not released yet. It's actually a piece of feedback from this tourney, so we released a patch.
Specific gripes that the players had or on the build effects, or
yeah. So you can see them. There's actually an issue with them. You can see them even when zoomed out completely, and now you can't. So they disappear at the same time as all the other faction effects
and everything, and the trees.
So, yeah, and like the UEF build boxes, so you know, there's a box around the UEF buildings, and that disappears if you zoom out to a certain distance, and the Nomads effects also disappear.
Really
at
gives
the same
you
distance.
an insight
now,
to just how much goes into, you know, refining all these details. We've got so many different units, so many different factions now with a whole extra one, all of these different effects for each thing. I mean...
But it's stuff like that, you never really think about it, right? So you think, oh yeah, we'll just add this effect here and then it's done. But actually, no, it makes a big difference to how you play the game, and it's just something that you see on screen. So
and
you
it has knock-on implications for everything else every time you change something as well. It's like...
Yeah, and you have to maintain it all, so make sure there's no bugs. Check out the new...
That would be great if it was hitting something, but yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great if it... Yeah, it's actually a Gatling gun, so it's been...
Are these mobile missiles inbound on mobile missile launchers?
Yeah, it's not having a good day.
There we go.
There we go. Doing its best. It's actually the fastest firing PD
how does the
out
damage
of all the
stack up overall?
It's got the same DPS, so what it does, it has less damage per shot.
So if there's an army of land scouts,
better, right?
It's the ultimate killing machine.
Yeah, yeah. It's made against land scouts. It's actually interesting to use the lore for the Nomads. They don't really do this whole ground combat thing. They only started doing it because all the other factions, they can teleport around, whereas Nomads, they have these slow ships, or relatively slow anyway. And then you'd be playing whack-a-mole against all the factions because they're like, OCU pops up, you know, vomits out a whole load of unit, glasses your planet, pops out again, and what did you do? You arrive several hours late, too late.
The lore and everything, it's...
Yeah, it's an interesting, like, spinning plate kind of scenario where you change this, and you'd have to change that, and then you have to do everything at once, pretty much, in order to make it work. So it's the effects, like the kind of weapons they use, that's influencing the lore, and the lore influences the kind of graphics they have, and then the kind of graphics they have, that once again ties into the story. So kind of a few of their units, they look like, you know, a little bit like designed hastily, right? And so, for instance, that tank, the story is that it got designed during the first mission of the campaign. So if you play the campaign, you will not start with this tank available. It gets unlocked during the mission.
Campaign's ungodly difficult, or is that exaggeration?
Yes. No.
I said
the campaign is supposed to please all players, right? So the way we've done it is easy is for, you know, 300 to 500 rated players, and you can turn off expansions as well, which makes it easier, right? Medium is for sort of 1,000 rated players, and hard is for 1,500 plus. So by default, the mission is set to hard, which if you're most of FAF and the average rating of FAF is about 700, you will find it a little bit difficulter than the vanilla campaigns.
That's just listening to it, it sounds intimidating. I said to Anal9, he was like, talking about the Nomads campaign. At that point, I had no idea it even existed, and I was like, oh, that sounds like good content. Maybe I'll do one for a stream or something. I'll do a bit of a playthrough.
Like a quick
and
playthrough.
He was like, yeah, you won't be doing that.
No, you can play it on
you
easy
reckon
difficulty.
Even
and turn off the map expansion. That's for
someone of my ineptitude.
Like it's.
Look at that 3-headed cannon.
Yeah. No, we're keeping that. The model's old.
No, I like
but we're keeping that. Absolutely.
So what is that? Is that a T2 tank? Yeah.
The T2 heavy tank. Yep. The Brute. This one's actually named after one of the old developers. So Brute 51. If you're an ancient player, you may recall his name. Yeah, he was the lead king developer of the Nomads at the time, and this unit got named after him. So there's actually a couple of units that are named after the Nomad. That's a new model. It's one of the first models added that were new to the Nomad. Of course,
as soon as I look at it, it starts firing. I'm not having much luck with my camera work today. Yeah, it's on the move.
Yeah, this one's interesting because we actually paid a lot of detail to the missiles. So if you are extremely observant, they actually unpack mid-flight.
I'm gonna have to see that.
Yeah. So these missiles, they have these little fins on the back, and the fins unfold about a second after they launch. I'm never gonna catch that
without messing around, pausing it, and I'm not gonna get involved with that.
You have to slow down the replay in order to catch that. But it's
lovely
there,
little
it's real.
addition that no one can see.
and it took me a long time but it's my favorite projectile in the game. Period.
That is awesome. They seem. Is it me? How are they in line with other mobile missile launchers damage-wise? They seem to pack quite a punch, or am I just imagining it?
They do pack quite a punch, but that's because they cost a lot more as well. So the idea is that it's got the same amount of DPS and the same mass in other missile launchers. So you just have more of them, which is actually a disadvantage because they have the same HP. And that means if you kill one missile launcher, you kill them 1.5 times more, but it takes the same amount of effort to kill them. So it's actually a disadvantage in that sense. But yeah, they are roughly a lot scarier.
Maybe it's also the fact, that the explosion is so much more impressive.
And it's an arcade theme explosion, which, as you may know, is about 3 times bigger than this.
I'm telling you, how can you not like arcade explosions? They add so much to the game.
Yeah, no, you can tell which explosions are made by arcade because they seem to cover about half the screen, no matter what you do with them.
Fighting some UEF out-teching goodness, runaways or...
Oh yeah. Yeah, so one interesting thing is that the Nomads don't have an artillery piece.
At any level? Oh, on T1.
No, on T1. So they have the T1 mobile anti-air artillery, which is their all-purpose missile launching unit. And it works like mobile missile launcher in that it doesn't actually track or lead your target. So as you can see, those missiles are horribly missing the ground. This is intentional in that if you move in a straight line, You just basically, they are
Yeah.
useless against units. So that's their disadvantage there. They've got the flexibility that you pack anti-air with your artillery, and they can take out point defenses, obviously. But against mobile units, they're the weakest.
So is it a
out of all the
different?
factions.
It's a different projectile that comes out, is it, when planes are going overhead?
Well, game-wise, yes, it's a different projectile. Technically, it's got two weapons, one
Right.
anti-air and one anti-ground. But in like functionality,
Right.
like lore-wise, it's the same weapon, right? So it comes out the same missiles. The missiles look the same. You know,
Yeah.
we'll pretend it's the same. Yeah, it's actually quite like I was responsible for writing the code for auto switching. If you remember, for the mobile anti-air for Cyberans and T3 mobile anti-air.
I don't, but go on.
It used to have a toggle against
Oh,
anti-air
for the
and
Sky
ground.
Slammers. Yeah.
Yes, and the cruiser, yeah. So I actually was the person who removed that toggle and made them
You know
switch
what?
automatically.
That's the problem, because I don't play. I didn't know that had been removed. So.
Yeah, there we go. That was a few years ago, so that made itself into Nomads,
okay.
obviously. But in a better than ever version, because this feature doesn't exist anywhere else. They have a toggle, but it's a toggle not for the land versus air, it's a toggle for their
Right.
target priorities. So if you want it to prioritize land units, you switch the toggle, and if you want it to prioritize air units, you switch the toggle. But if you give it an attack order, it will attack that
Right.
unit that you gave it to. And then it will switch to whatever threat is the next on the list. So it's kind of maximum flexibility, minimum intervention required. Officially the smartest
clearly.
anti-air in the game.
No doubt. So this game so far, 20 minutes, looks like it's going pretty even. Have a check out on what's happening eco-wise. Well, Team 2 are up by about 50 odd mass. And thereabouts. Who's doing that? That looks like that's Nexus. No surprises there. Running away with the eco game. And he's about to get RAS as well on his comm. You, of course, know the outcome of this one, directing it.
Well, not spoiling. I can neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, and then we wrote custom shaders for the Nomad, so you can kind of see that with the PGen. There's a kind of band that moves up as the unit is being built. And the idea is that they're kind of printing it or whatever. We're actually going to change the effect in the future again, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove these engineer build beams. And we're going to add these kind of little drones, which are a bit like the Cybran drones, but instead of flying around, what they do is they go right up to the building and they float on the edge, and then they kind of
they just
print
went
it.
around those lines or something over the top of them. That would, yeah.
Yeah, they would go around in a square
cool.
kind of thing, like pretty much where those lines are right now.
I like it.
That's gonna come. That's gonna have some interesting code to go with it.
So we're at T3 land now for Pink Fluffy Noob. Swear to God, man, some of these names.
Well, that's the joy of it, isn't it?
Until they change their names, and then it's no joy whatsoever.
Oh, well, you see, you gotta be like me, you gotta pick the best name ever, and you gotta stick with it for about for 10 years. Right? Exotic Retard, what kind of a name?
It's a name that will get cast as cancelled at this day and age, that's what it is.
No, it's true, that's the thing, like, I've actually, I think this name is from 2014 or something, and, like, back then, didn't matter, right? But now I'm kind of thinking, like, yeah, okay, if I, like, you know, put myself out there as the official guy.
That's it.
Like
just
Retard,
stick with exotic, and everyone will know. Like, it is boring.
boring.
But it's
The
2020.
main
The world is
advantage-
boring now. Humor's dead. We're all not meant to have any fun. And
I refuse. I refuse.
what is that thing? The icon on that armored assault tank. That is a beast slugger.
That's the armored assault. That's the
That's
T3.
the staple T3 tank, like the siege tank for the Seraphim, or
Yeah. So it's not like the siege tank. It's like the brick. It's like the brick, right? So the siege tank for the Seraphim is an in-between unit. between the Titan and the Festival, whereas the day
Right.
is the Festival of the Nomad. They have their own Titan and tank, which is the hover tank, T3 hover tank, and that's the light tank on the T3, and then they have this guy which is the heavy tank, which has the least HP, probably out of all the tanks,
Right.
and loads of damage, that kind of stuff. So, Nomads, they love guns, right? That's that. If there's only one takeaway, they love guns. That's it. So more damage, less HP. That's where their faction is like the opposite of the UEF.
Apologies for everybody if the stream is a little bit icky. So your voice was a bit laggy there. So I don't know how it's going with the stream for everybody, but yeah, it's probably one of my kids piggybacking on downloading things or streaming another room. Hopefully it all returns to normal. But it's a very cool. I love the icons. The Slugger doesn't actually have the little box showing its weaponry to the right yet. That's something that needs to be added.
Yeah, do the other units have it in the other faction?
So for instance, one here, the Barrager, that's got anti-air and artillery.
Anti-air.
But a lot of these others, it obviously hasn't been entered in yet.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure the Slugger has any abilities. It's just the Slugger.
Whoa!
All it does is it slugs.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, and it does it very well. You know, it's always whenever the Slugger fires, it always reminds me of that scene from the Star Trek. You know, when James Kirk is eating that apple in the test, and he's like, "Boom!" Like, you know, when he's
which scene?
It's the scene in the. It's the Star Trek with the time travel.
Star Trek 4,
right?
Voyage Home.
Kirk is sitting.
No.
No.
The other one. Well, which one?
It's the first of the new series, right?
Generations.
Yeah, and he's just taking his test, and you know he cheated in it, right? Yeah. So after the scene restarts, right, like he's basically alright, one shot each, right, and then he's just sitting there eating his apple, and he does like the finger gun at them. That's exactly how I feel whenever the Slugger slugs.
It's a beautiful piece of kit right there.
Yeah. So instead of mobile shields, the Nomads have EMP tanks, which is their anti-shield weapon, and it stuns, and it does extra damage to shields and basically no damage, just like an absolver.
That is pretty cool.
But it also stuns.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, on a slightly shorter range, and unfortunately, it's the only tank which technically has a energy weapon. Although we're removing that, we're actually replacing it with EMP missiles, and they're gonna be awesome. They are going to fly out, and then just before they hit their target, they break apart and they release the EMP cloud at the enemy.
You see the damage it's doing to those
that's what deals the damage.
Shields.
Yeah. I don't actually know how much damage it does, but I'm told it's
taking off whole chunks of the shield.
Yeah, it's there. That's what they get instead of shields. Yep.
Mass engineer casualties. They try to scoop the mass.
So another thing you may notice is that Nomads introduce team-colored effects. So there's a beamer being built. But, oh yes, here it is, the first experimental. So you can see that under the engineers there's this hover effect, and that's actually the color of the player. Whereas, for instance, if you were to have Auroras, it would always be green, because it's green.
Pretty cool.
Whereas this, like, we added this functionality in the game, we can add this to any effect, right? But it's only used on the Nomads, obviously.
Custom LED lights underneath their engineered vehicles, I like.
Yeah. No, that's the Nomad. They're the rude boys.
Boys of Faff. That is awesome. How long have we got left?
Absolutely.
2/3 done.
Yeah.
Just awesome. Is that the first experimental that's being built?
It may well be. We'll see plenty more.
Because Apophonus is cheating.
Well, I can neither confirm
We've got a
nor
fatty
deny
underway. It's fine.
his
It's
allocation.
fine. Nexus, he's almost at 400 mass.
Oh yeah, I'm told by whispers in the top secret channels that actually mission 1 in the campaign is indeed ungodly hard, even on easy difficulties, and it's actually being toned down a little bit because we kind of got a little bit overexcited.
Play it now. Embarrass myself.
I only ever played on hard,
course.
right? So I don't really know what the other ones are like. I do know that it's actually now very
To give
hard.
our viewers an idea,
That's my
what's your
benchmark.
global or ladder ranking at?
1400, but I don't really play that much. I haven't really played for a while, so I'm probably slumping down. But it's definitely not like 200.
Not my level.
Oh, don't worry, you could beat me any day.
No, not unless I drug you first.
Wow, it's all part of the game.
Yeah, it really is.
Controversial claim.
I'm trying. I'm trying to get my the odd game in here and there, but like you found, trying to get this stream organised with us, I'm trying to find the time with the kids and everything. It's just, especially at the moment when they're not allowed. They're at home. Yeah, I mean I know it's the holidays anyway, right? But
that's a
really
nightmare,
is. Like
isn't it?
that's when.
Because you basically have to stay at home all day.
That's when having four kids is a real interesting decision.
There it is. The Beamer.
Puppy.
Did you see the laser turn on and its beaming head unpack, and then it found something just outside of its range? So unsatisfactorily.
It reminds me of one of the mega vehicles from Deserts of Karak. Did you ever play that?
I've seen it, never played it.
Classic game.
There we go. Beaming. Well, you know, we've got simple names: the Slugger Slugs and the Beamer Beams.
So what are we looking at here? It's
and
55k.
This is the one laser. This is the one laser.
And presumably
in the
that's going to be staying. That's not going to be changed. Don't need to change that.
Where's the new unit? It's the new unit. You can tell because it's awesome.
I love this powerful beam right down the centre.
Yeah. So it's got the generator at its head, and then it's going into the unit, and it's being reflected.
Mirrors. Oh look, that's so
and
cool!
And then it packs up. That's right.
I got a bit too excited. Sorry, but yeah. So what?
And also, you're playing without Bloom. I order you to turn Bloom on at once. No, it's night and day.
I'll do it. Video, Bloom render on. Apply. That's so bright, but it is better. You're right. No, it won't fire now. You watch.
Yeah. But it's for the engine effects, right?
That's so cool. Look, there it goes. It's not actually.
It's always
just eviscerated. They're definitely a much prettier faction with Bloom on, there's no question, but then that's generally the case across the board.
Yep.
How's it going to deal against the Fat Boy? So it's not actually very strong. It's 55k on HP, so it's like 10k more than a Monkey Lord.
Yeah, most of it is dealing with the damage, and actually, I loathe to admit, but this is a kind of weakness that was discovered with the Nomads. So the Beamer is incredibly strong against land units.
To do it.
But no, it can get close enough to deal with T3 land. So the issue is the Fat Boy's got a bit more range.
Or whatever.
Yeah, and then now we see the sad
the sad turntail and Runzor. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really do much actually, and that's actually something we have already addressed in the next patch.
Do we get to know, or is it top secret?
But here comes.
Give us an exclusive right here.
Basically, right. I'll get out my patch
do it
notes.
if it's not going to be awful and slow. Destroy the tempo of the stream. No, go on. Give us an exclusive. Tell us what's coming. I'm excited. I like to be privileged.
Right. So, actually, there, if you zoom out, you just saw some rockets from the crawler, which is the other experimental. That's the bombardment experimental.
Oh yeah, sure, it's right
north
there.
Of the Beamer.
Look at that thing.
There you go. And it's about to reload. Get ready.
Oh!
And you can see the missiles unpack. Do you see the missiles unpacking?
That's sick. That is pretty sick. Look at them fly over to the target en masse. That is... You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the first Iron Man and the weapon that Tony Stark is trying to sell when he first gets captured? The Jericho.
The Jericho.
That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't like the name crawler.
I think
We might need a new name for it. Maybe we should call it the Jericho.
Let's face it. Marvel aren't going to play faff. They're not going to know you ripped it off. It's fine. But that's
new name called Jericho. I'm sure
tin foil though, because obviously it's range 20,000 hit points. That's compare that. Fat Boy's got 12,000.
Yeah. It has the 30,000 shield.
Oh, it does.
Does
it? It's got a shield.
So,
oh, the Fat Boy does.
No,
okay,
the Fat Boy has a shield. Yeah, this doesn't. So this is all it's got, but the Fat Boy's actually got 42,000 HP.
But I mean, looks like it outranges
and
the Fat Boy.
Unfortunately, yeah, it does. It does. It's the T4 mobile missile launcher. So rather than the Fat Boy being this kind of land battleship thing, this thing is a mobile missile launcher, so it doesn't track its targets. And frustratingly, you'll see quite a lot of that in this replay. Maybe I should have picked another one. So it's too late now. Yeah. There it goes. It's actually a very cheap experiment as well, so it costs as much as the Monkey Lord. Yeah.
That's very cool. That is very cool. That might be my new favourite thing in FAF, just generally. That's... Look at it, look.
We're actually going to put the...
and it... Oh, it's
not
it
very
only takes
accurate,
one,
though,
look. Just needs one hit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a...
I'm very anti-civilian, so I adore collateral damage. That is that is too cool. I feel like I'm betraying my UEF roots.
Don't worry, it's well known that Nomads are the best faction.
Run, fatty, run!
Yeah, that's the advantage. That's the key issue with the crawlers. Right now, you have to kind of manually ground fire it against moving units. Whereas against armies, it's fine because there's loads of units, right? So it hits
the
something.
range is like, so I can get an idea on how dangerous it is. So yeah, I mean that's still in range. That is enormous.
Yeah.
So
it's enormous, right? And those missiles can get shot down by
if
TMB.
you had, I mean, if you had 3 or 4 of those, you could just blanket a whole area, and yeah.
Yeah. It would cost you though, right? So they're not very good against experiments.
Yeah, sure.
See that kind
I mean, it'd be great for frontline busting, but unique situational stuff.
Yeah. So that's something that's actually getting looked at. Oh yeah, I need to tell you the top secret stuff. The exclusive of what's
drop
going
it
on.
like it's hot.
So drop it like it's hot. Right. So. Let's see. Buff Beamer. Let's see what we got on that. It's going to have more HP. It's going to have more speed. And it's going to have less damage on its beam. There we go.
But we don't have figures yet.
Same price.
Just know the directions that it's moving in.
Well.
You mean you were holding out on me? Jesus.
Well, it's nothing like a bit of suspense. You know, information is precious, which means that it must be carefully rationed. So, from 55,000 HP to 75,000. From 2 speed to 2.5. And it's also going to get a new feature. So you may know, or probably you may not. So if you go over to a Nomad structure, such as the T2 mechs or something like that, that thing has some regen on it. So it doesn't have regen on it now, but if it was to get damaged, it will activate its repair abilities. So after a certain point, Nomad's units, quite a lot of them, have emergency repair system. What that means is if you're out of combat for a certain amount of time, which means no taking damage, no shooting, they gain a boost in their regen abilities where they basically repair themselves. And the beamer is going to get that ability. So if it's out of combat for a number of time, right now it's got 15 HP a second, but it's actually going to get 350 per second when it's outside of combat for about 2 minutes or so. In fact,
75k, that's
you,
not for, is the Ithota, that's 65, is it? Or 70k? Something like that?
Yep, so it's not that much even so, but here you can see the Nomad T3 artillery getting built, and above it is the satellite, so the Desolator, which is the T3 artillery, and you'll see it's got a good name. It's actually a satellite uplink artillery, so that's a target designator on the ground. It powers the satellite that hovers above it, so that satellite's been deployed by the orbital frigate, so that ship you saw earlier above the ACU, that's what deploys these satellites. And then the target designator beams power up to the satellite and it tells it where to shoot.
I love the thought behind it.
And it's going to be great. So this is still the old model, but when we get the new model, it's going to be better.
Going back to the changes on the beamer, do you know offhand what 2.5 would be comparable? Are there other units that we could measure that speed off against that it would go even with? I don't know. I think it's like closer to the other experimentals are. The Desolator's firing dial. Absolute.
You got the wrong unit.
Absolute quality. Beamer running. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! There he goes. Ah! Oh my god! It's like sea urchins of doom colliding with the shields.
And that's also an arcade explosion, which is why it's 2.5 times bigger than it should be. But it looks mind-bending.
You've got to keep it.
No, we're absolute. This is in my humble opinion, it's the best effect in the game for a projectile. We just want to make it a bit smaller.
I need to see this thing firing.
You can see that it's got these like distortion effects. It's kind of like.
Oh, so does it? It does fire from here, or does it fire from the satellite? Ah, it's like looking at this antenna going, what the hell?
Actually think.
Wow, it's so underwhelming from the satellite itself.
I know, it needs a bit of a new model now.
But that collision effect, oh, Nexus is in trouble, man. How far off? He's got his Duke up, but...
Yeah.
So it's like what? It's 5 rounds? 6 rounds at a time?
6 rounds, 1,000 damage each, so it's equal with the AR artillery and DPS. However, as also a response to this tourney, in fact, probably response to this very game, it's getting nerfed.
So what you're saying here, without giving too much away, is Apophis is about to wreck Nexus's face.
I won't spoil anything. I can neither confirm nor deny that Apophis is about to wreck.
Kind of confirmed it. I mean,
the thing is, here's the trick. If I respond in the same way to everything, you can't tell which ones are relevant or not.
It's quite possible that it's all irrelevant.
Well, we'll see. It's a dramatic game.
It's about to collapse. Lots of T2s, a couple of T3s over on the left. That T3-1 just inside it. 2,000 hit points. Oh, don't let up now. It's stop firing.
He's let up now. He's shooting on the other side. Yeah. How do you like the Nomad's shield effect?
Actually, taking a chance to look at them properly. Oh, the pulsing. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
They seem like different colours though. Here.
Yeah, they are different colours. So there's shields, and then there's stealth shields. So Nomads don't have a stealth generator. They just put it in the shield.
That's cool. That is cool. Is that not OP?
And then the blue one.
Nope.
Nope. Because you just, because you just put that the simple explanation, right? Is if you have a shield and you have a stealth generator, right? You just add their prices together, and then you get a stealth shield, right? So that's taken into account, but then obviously there's a lot of faction diversity. So some factions just flat out have better shield, right? And then that means it gives you a lot of leeway to give you you can make some weaker shields, you can make some stronger shields. Stealth shields are weaker than they otherwise would be, and stuff like that. And also noticed that the beamer effect lasers are team coloured.
Yeah.
So purple beamer gets purple laser.
Twigged.
Yellow beamer
Love
gets
it.
yellow laser. It's perfectly fitting with the faction kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, the things you could do with this game at this stage of modding, when you're at this, that they obviously couldn't do when they were.
Game
I
from
know, but they like
2007.
obviously they couldn't. Obviously they
Amazing,
couldn't
isn't
like
it?
think that far ahead. Let's face it, it was never initially well tuned for multiplayer from the beginning. They never got into the esports side of things. It was always quite casual initially, but
Yeah. And it
It
still
is,
is.
yeah,
It still is.
it still is.
70% of games are played
Yeah,
with AI.
it is.
In fact,
But all of these little
70%.
changes that you
Yeah.
can make now, that you just think, God, if you'd had some of
Yeah.
that foresight when you were designing the original factions, think how the game could have looked. And the time,
And time.
time and money,
Time.
obviously. I mean, it
Absolutely.
was still like a $20
Strategic
million
launch
game
detected.
or something ridiculous, you know.
yeah, if I was getting paid a programmer's salary, no, you'll love this. So the nuke is out.
We're about to see some anti-nuke
And-
inception.
No, but the nuke dies. I think the nuke dies just after it's released its missile. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Didn't even realise he was building one. I haven't checked in much over on this side. There's so much to look after. Oh, wait, no, that gets shot down.
No, that gets
You're
shot down.
spoiling it!
I'm
You're
spoiling
spoiling
everything
it.
now.
Our poor viewers. I
Damn
want to
it.
apologise for everybody watching, for my friend here.
But incompetence of
Yes,
certain
for
individuals.
Exotic, that's his name now, just Exotic. Exotic for 2020.
For certain, for certain people, for certain types of. Did you know that retard was actually a politically
I'm
correct
sure
term
it
when
was, and there
first
was a whole bunch
used?
of other terms that we can't say now that were also politically correct once upon a time.
Yeah. That one was actually made added specifically as like a
Oh my
replacement
God, what was
term
it
for another
before?
term.
Actually, don't say it. Whatever it was,
I
don't
don't know. It
say
was
it.
it was like. It's still kind of offensive, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the benefit of working on a game from 2007 here at Galcast. We're too small to get cancelled. It's fine. There's not enough people paying attention.
Yeah, no. Is this one of the things that keeps you up at night? It keeps me up at night. What if I become super popular and then all these things they say
That's
on the
it.
internet 10
That's
years
it.
ago?
Yeah, all the things. I'm sure things. That's.
You know.
I don't think it's anything I'm going to have to worry about. But it's. It's a weird time that we all live in now. That's. If you're ever going to become someone of any kind of public persona, you've got to be. You have your PR machine from
Careful for
the
birth.
age of
Careful
your
for
first
birth.
Instagram account that you get from your parents at 14. Don't say or write
Yeah.
or take a picture of anything that could be offensive that you won't even know is offensive.
Or if you do, be very,
Yes,
very
exactly.
anonymous.
Frightening.
So, yeah, I'm trying to go for the anonymous route now, not that anonymous. Top secret individuals do know who I am.
Look, that's some serious rude boy LED business going on.
It's a pretty serious rude boy LED.
It just needs some beats. Can you add?
Pink.
Can you add some tunes?
Oh no, the crawler's getting
You
crawlered.
need some
Oh
tunes.
no.
That's what I want you to add next. Is some ragga or something, just pumping out when it
Yeah,
fires
then
the
it needs to
missiles.
bounce
When it-
as well. It needs to bounce.
Bow, 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 bow.
You know, like how can you bounce, right?
Bow, 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 bow. You got to do it.
Yeah, it needs to
Ouch. Front line getting peppered.
That fat boy is a
He is.
hero.
Sub 6,000 HP, 91 kills. Getting into range. How do they stack up on T2 PD and stuff like that?
They're the best PD, or not the best. They're out of the best PD. So as you know, I'm sure the best PDs are the UEF and the Aeon PDs because
Yeah.
you can abuse them to
Yeah.
fire outside of their range, right?
Sure.
Because they have AOE. So Nomads have AOE, so you can abuse them as well. So they're in the upper tier of PDs. That's it. But other than that, they're pretty similar to the Aeon PD in that they have a single shot, some
There's
AOE.
a pair of legs left at the end of the support commander. That's cool.
Yep.
That's a lovely touch.
That's revealing my shame, because the support commander, in my opinion, is one of the weakest parts of the faction right now. We're trying to put a new awesome model. So you've actually kind of seen it
in the
preview
concept
stream. It's the awesome 6-wheeled truck.
Cool.
It's actually not going to be a biped. It's going to be a 6-wheeled truck.
Diversity right there.
Yeah. But the best thing about it is it's going to have an upgrade which transforms it into a plane.
What?
Yes, you heard that correctly. It's going to have a flying upgrade, so it will be able to. It has a toggle, which then it gets like an awesome animation.
More unpacking.
Wheels turn into like hover engines.
I'm sensing a theme here.
You know it. I love unpacking. Whether it's unpacking my issues or unpacking my
as far as exotics concerned.
Yeah, no. But to me, that's unpacking is the spice of life, you know? It's like unboxing videos, right? There's got to be a reason they're so attractive if you want to find out what's happening. So there we go, the Nomads are the official unboxing video faction.
I like it a lot. I've actually been paying attention to what this artillery's been doing. I see lots of projectiles, but it's not creaming through the shields, though, is it? I mean, it is.
Well,
that's the
they're
thing.
Holding up, but I think there's a second artillery piece going up soon.
They killed the Duke, did they? The Duke was around about here.
It's killed the Duke.
I was over here.
It's to the left, but they kill it anyway. There's a bit of a grid exploding pigeons happen now, yeah.
I'm about to get another desolator on this side.
And in the next patch, hopefully we will release not 1, but 2 new units.
Going
yeah,
the
they're about to snipe. They're about to snipe the anti-nuke. So you can see that the Nomad T3 gunship has the same kind of cannons as the Slugger.
Oh, because I've got Bloom on, I can't actually see a thing, but...
Strategic launch detected.
Yeah.
Oh! Is he going to go down? 8,000 hit points.
Not even close, as they say in the taquito business.
Very close.
Fortunately, if you pan over to the nuke,
there he goes.
The nuke has died just after the anti. So if you look at the nuke
launcher, was it down here? Oh, it is dead.
It's dead. It's dead. It's dead just as the nuke was leaving. Now,
and that's going to land and take out the desolator.
But wait for this. Wait for this. This is the Nomad nuke. Are you ready? Or is it not?
Don't you anticlimax this business. Do you know what? Just so people can see what's going on, I'm going to have to do the unthinkable and just turn Bloom off. Just temporarily. I think, you know what it is on top? Is that this map as well, on top of it, it's such a bright desert map with all of the sand.
Unfortunately, the replay's over.
Is that it? Oh, is that literally it?
Optimus control cage, yeah.
And I missed it!
And you missed the black hole as you were turning off the
Oh, man, you made me sound like it wasn't happening there and then I chose that minute to change it up. There you go. So, look, that was good masking, you see. You made it sound like Apophis was about to wipe the floor with everybody. But actually...
Well, as I said, I could neither confirm nor deny.
No, fair play.
It was incredibly close with the nuke, though, because it died just as the nuke was launching, and then the silo died. So it was like 3 seconds difference or something. And that would have been the game. Because they sniped the anti-nuke. And then because they would have just creamed everyone else.
Very cool. That was awesome, man. Well, that was definitely a good choice, I think, for a replay. The only thing is, though, we didn't get to see it. Have you got a second one?
Got a second replay.
The question is, does it have any C in it? Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we haven't seen any naval vessels. But if it's a good, worthwhile stream, why don't we check it out? Good, worthwhile cast.
Yep. So let's see. I'll just send that over to you, and it's another Apophis game. And there we go. That should be up. So it's another land map, and this time it's some more high-rated players. It's also from the tourney, and yeah. There we go.
So, hang on
Let's
a
have a
sec,
look.
just closing that last one down. Get that next one up.
I should remember what maps for the tourney were. I don't know if we had C in it. Because always with the tourneys you want to have long games, but you don't want them too long.
Yeah,
so
no, I hear
maps.
you. Let me see if I can get it onto the right screen. That's the one. Is that coming through on your end okay? Awesome.
Looking beautiful.
Yeah, back in the day, I remember trying to do a... I haven't done many two-man casts, but trying to do them back in the day with... I did one with TA for Life. Yeah, replay state. I think it's impossible, man. Different computers running the same thing at different times, and it was a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. So, an interesting thing about the orbital frigate is that it's got still a work in progress, and there's going to be an awesome animation where
unpack?
It comes down. So if you pan, no, of course. In fact, you missed it. But
It does
right
do
at
a
the start of the game,
thing.
it packs. It packs. In fact, yeah. So you have to really look closely, and you have to look right at it at the start of the game. It's got like a whole intricate inner system, which is in there, and you can't see it for the whole game. Which is really good design, right? But yeah, I'm actually like gonna mess around with the code with it a little bit more, so it's a little bit more active. Because right now it kind of just floats there. But it's gonna like move around a little bit, and it's gonna unpack some more.
Always good.
Yeah, but the animation is that if you look at the frigate from the side, it's got a conveniently shaped hole at the bottom.
How do I even? Yeah.
Control V.
Hang on.
Yeah, so you can just see it there. From the side, it's got a conveniently shaped hole at the bottom. And that is where the ACU is supposed to go.
Kind of...
So, in the beginning of the game, it's actually going to kind of swoop down. And then it's like a drive-by, but better, right? It swoops down, the ACU drops out of it, like, you know, in a pod. The pod, like, splits up around the ACU and like lands in the middle. You know, this thing just keeps flying forward, like it just dropped this bomb, right? And then but the bomb is an ACU, so it's even better.
Very cool.
It'll be great, but right now it's just kind of sitting there. I need somebody to do that animation.
Cough,
so
cough, if anyone's watching,
if you wanna contribute.
No, I don't know anything about it. Like you could say that to the viewers. I am of no help whatsoever.
Yeah.
Going out to anyone who's watching.
Don't worry, I won't force you to.
If you need a voiceover or something, I can help, but that is the end of my expertise.
Yeah. So, always more people required. So doing this is actually a lot of work. So I put in 600 hours a year on this, and we do about 6 units a year. So each unit is 60 hours of my time, roughly on average. And that's just my time. That's not including everyone else who's working on it. So. We need more people.
There you hear it, guys. Get involved. Exotic will take up...
Right. Join the Nomad Discord server. And PM. Just take a look. Participate in the community. It's going to be great.
I'll put is there any links or anything you want to give me? I'll put in the description below this for people.
Yeah, I can do that. There you go. Shameless plugs.
This is what it's here for, man. I mean, you know, it's definitely, with the amount of work that's gone into this, it's definitely a mod that needs more recognition, more players.
Well, that's a rule of life. Everything I do is shameless. As Friedrich Nietzsche said, shame is the weakest of humanity.
Deep. Shame
is the worst. What is it? This poisonous plant.
It's deep for this time of night, man. Breaking out the Nietzsche.
Honestly, top guy, recommend to everybody.
Puffiness there, just...
Not very politically
but then,
correct though.
What, 1800s?
Not in the slightest. Yeah, 1870s. Not in the slightest.
So Puffiness there just bombing Reclaim as denial. Very cool. So actually, let's take a look. So Natron and Zlo up there at the top. Zlo rocking the team Nomads there for Team 1. And again, Paralon and Apophis for Team 2 down here. So obviously Apophis is going to win because A, they're in the final, and B, Zlo's playing, so Zlo has to die. It's
what do you?
I have
what
nothing.
Have you
No,
got
Zlo is one of my. You know, I think Zlo has been featured on my channel more than any other single player ever. We refer to him as the Sean.
Oh, apparently the stream's broken.
No.
Oh, no.
Why is the stream broken?
Yeah, we're
gassing
too busy,
away and not
talking
paying
and not paying
attention.
attention.
Shameless
plugging, eh?
Yeah, it is as well. Hang on a sec. Let's just go back and see if that that does anything. No, it might not.
Shout out to Sinister Spud 5
Thank
for PMing me
goodness.
in Discord.
You see, nothing to see here, guys. I'll tell you what I'll do. I am going to restart. I'm going to restart the replay and kill it off because I think that's where Obs has got confused after I transitioned into another replay. I think that's what it didn't actually like. Let's give it another go. Hopefully it's because I mean it seems like when I'm looking at it, it seems like it's still running. It seems like it's just hung on that last piece. So bear with me, guys. We'll try and get that back up.
Someone's writing a chat cancelled by YouTube.
I love it. Yes, most definitely.
For having people with wrong names on the chat. Who have you been inviting? What kind of ruffians are you inviting to your streams, girl?
There we go. I'm
what kind of individuals?
That is going to be better now. It looks like it's better on this end. Let me just share it over to your side.
See, the beauty is we can always fix this in
I can
post.
chop out that whole section. Alright, let's see. Hopefully it goes down okay.
It seems to be working. Now, you know the funny thing is I've got your stream on my second
and you didn't
stream,
notice. No.
and I'm not paying
you?
attention to
Why would you?
I was too busy
Of course,
watching my
that
other
stream's out of
stream.
date. Why would you be paying attention to that? Right. Anyway, a massive apologies for. Do you know what? That's so indicative of Guilecast. I think I'm going to leave that in because it's there's too many jokes. But anyway, as I was saying, Zlo has featured. Oh, you know what's annoying? I didn't actually. We did it again. And I didn't get a chance to watch the opening animation.
It's very hard to notice because you have to be there right as the game starts, and then you can see it swoop in, and then it's got like spinning parts in it, and then it packs up. It's actually kind of a lore thing as well. So basically, like almost the entire frigate is this giant shield generator, and the shield generator is what allows Nomad's fleet to warp through. So they like Warhammer 40k style warp, except with fewer ghosts and fewer chaos gods, right? Yeah. But basically, it's like the idea is it's really dangerous as they're going in FTL. So this whole frigate is this giant shield generator that allows the fleet behind it to kind of be more protected as they go at FTL.
Cool. So yeah, as I was saying, because it sounded like I totally slated Zlo, and that's not the case. He's one of my all-time favorite players.
No.
But it's the curse.
Well, his name is evil. His name does mean evil. I was wondering if you have a really high sense of justice.
No, you don't
now
know
that slow always loses and good always wins.
But no, seriously, I don't know what it is, and I know it's not indicative of the whole thing, because if he lost as regularly in just general life, playing as he does on my stream, he would not be a 2000 global rated player. But it's just something about every single time I cast a game, and I don't know what it is, but like, literally, I must have cast him, I don't know, 50 times, something ridiculous number of times. But because he ends up in big games. I just don't know, when games go the distance and a cast becomes watchable for a cast, like a replay becomes castable. It means just with his play style, I guess. Maybe it's gone on too long.
Yeah, he doesn't like mexes.
And that means he loses. So he is literally the Sean Bean of Guilecast, and it's very unfair. But I get really excited when I feature him and he wins, and I make a big deal of it.
And now we can see the Nomads Bomber bombing. So the Nomads Bomber
That's
is
very
officially
cool.
the best bomber,
Scatterbombing.
not because it's OP, but because it's T1 Corsair.
Sick.
So it doesn't shoot bombs, it shoots missiles. And they can fly ahead, so you can actually do the whole thing you can do with the Corsairs, where you like circle them
Very
around and they
nice.
just bomb it.
They definitely
As
have
well as
some
that.
unique advantages, but I'm also not getting the feeling that they're particularly imbalanced in any way, and that's where I think you guys have really come into your own with all of this work. Well, I mean, it obviously probably wasn't the case all the way along, and so many man-hours have gone into it. It's been a refining process, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And it still is. So we're releasing patches even now. Yeah. So there we go. And yes, one interesting thing is the lab for the Nomad is not a lab. It's not a light assault bot. It's a light
course.
assault vehicle.
Does it broadly have the same sort of...
Yeah, it's the same thing, except it can hover.
That's mental. So
Well, we never claimed we were sane.
some serious early oversea abuse going on. You think you're safe.
Yeah, it's slower on the water though, and if
It's
it meets
toast.
an Aurora, it's not really.
That's
a
the
good
way.
day.
Let's face it. When a lab meets the T1, tank or whatever.
Yeah. So especially the Aurora, which has a longer range, right? And it does 40 damage,
Sure.
so it takes like 2 shots, like pew pew, and then it just slams them, right? So yeah, so it's actually it's cool, but and it can work in the early things, but it's not like some horribly awesome thing, because the Aeon have the Aurora, which can hover, which I think is a lot more OP. If you're gonna pick an OP unit. And then the Zui also for the Seraphim, and the Lab is the third hover T1 unit that is in the game. Or the Lab,
Hover
should I
lab.
say? Light assault vehicle. The light assault
lab,
vehicle.
The lab. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we call it the Lab, but it doesn't roll off the tongue as
So
easily.
makes you
So
think of a toilet
Bit of
in East London in 1920s.
a Lab. Oh, you want to go to the Lab, mate? Just go to the Lab. Gonna see the Lab.
So, pretty far forward with his comm, dropping land factories right in the middle like a boss.
Dropping it. Yeah.
80 mass apiece virtually for both these teams. What's the advantage in that's 94% game quality, so very finely balanced between these two. There was no ratings requirements, was there, for this, or
There's a
And that was it.
4,000 rating limit, and no rating requirements, and all the top players sign up because clearly this is the best mod ever, so of course they want. And then what you can see here is a pack of tank destroyers rolling in, which is a unique Nomads unit
Over
the
here?
T1 stage.
no?
They-
Tank
No,
destroyers.
well,
They're
yeah,
just
over here
everywhere.
and over there as well. Yeah, there you go.
Marksman.
Yeah, Optimus is just having fun with them today. Yeah, so that's the Marksman. What's awesome about it is it deals 300 damage per
So
shot.
huge alpha strike. Oh, look at it!
It could kill any T1 unit in one go. And you should zoom in on the thing as it fires, because it actually releases like a capsule. It rejects the shell as it
God,
shoots.
so much extra processing for the game just for awesomeness.
No, nonsense. It's not actually that much. Like, so performance is the thing that we're looking at, and actually, since this patch, we've what we've done is we've changed the reclaim effects in the game. So they used to be special and green and lovely, but actually we're
Right.
making them the same as the other faction, because they were causing some.
So, like,
performance
generally across the board, I mean, on bigger games, how does it stack up at the moment? Yeah.
Performance-wise, you don't notice in game. It's only
Right.
when watching replays at high speed. So there's this interesting kind of phenomenon I discovered in FLAP. So performance isn't linear. So if you make it twice as heavy,
Right.
it's not twice as laggy. It's either not laggy at all, or it just starts tanking your
Sure.
FPS really quickly. There's a kind of threshold, and after that, like anything you
Makes
add just makes it
complete
super
sense.
bad, right? And Nomads just crossed that threshold a little bit. So it was when you're reclaiming and building at the same time. If you're just building, it's fine. If you're just reclaiming it, it's fine. If you do both, it lags on the higher speeds, sim speeds. So you can't really play at high sim speeds, which is a bit annoying. But it's not like a disaster because on basically games, yeah, there you go. Somebody's taken advantage of a tag move.
One by one. Next row.
Having a field day. Listen, this is a cakewalk.
He's gonna lose the entire platoon. Nope, doesn't fancy anymore. I'll leave those. They're fine.
No. Oh no, the tanks are on again, so he just decided that, you know. Yeah. But yeah, you'll see a bit more.
Yeah,
of
I'm
the
trying
tank
to look for them.
Oh, there's one over there. What you can do is you can press Control-Shift-T to follow it around with the camera.
So I have to be in player view, don't I?
Yeah, you have to be Eponymous. This one.
I'm not doing it. Control-Shift-T, is that it? That's not
something
it.
like
Alt-T.
Shift-Alt. It's not Alt-T, it's
Control,
Shift.
Alt-T.
It's something.
Control-Alt-Shift-T. T. It's none of those.
What about Shift-Alt-T?
Shift-Alt-T.
Shift-Alt-T?
Nothing like that.
Oh. No, fine. I lied.
Clearly you imagined it. It was a dream you had.
Well, and it was a Midsummer Night's Dream at that.
So much bedlam. Am I running this at normal speed? It doesn't seem like I am. Why am I even
No,
in
you're running
+2?
at
It's like super
+2.
fast. I didn't even remember like
Yeah.
skipping that up. Maybe yeah.
Automatic habit.
I think I was just like, oh my god, we've seen all this early on, when of course everybody else hasn't. Check in and see what people are saying.
Is the T4 transport imba? Well, spoilers, there's a T4 transport in this
T4
game.
transport. So what does that carry? Like multiple well, it carries an
Guess how much it
experimental of
carries.
some kind.
Well, what else could it carry?
Battleship.
Okay, is that your guess? How many units
well,
do you
I
think
mean,
it
that
can carry?
depends of what size. I mean, labs are very different. T3
Well,
units.
T3 units, let's say. How many?
I've got to be very careful not to go too high because that will ruin. Okay,
be honest,
so Continental is
No, it's
what?
fine.
How many does that take? That takes.
That carries 28 labs,
Six-
and that's
six Percies, yeah.
ACUs, yeah.
So I mean, a T4. I mean, let's say, well, should we double it? Say 12. What?
20. Or wait, am I like 18?
That's still obscene.
It could carry, wait, is it 18? Yeah, 72
That's
labs.
obscene.
Can you imagine a ghetto gunship with
I need
72
to see that
labs?
now.
There's actually a top secret video on my YouTube channel where we go through all the units,
Yeah.
go through the balance on them, and we show you the labs in the T4 transport. And we could show you like the
Has it
ghetto,
got,
the
does
whole
it
thing
shield
works.
the
'Cause,
labs
you know,
well though, or do the labs get?
No shield, sorry.
So the labs get obliterated
it should
as soon
probably
as
have a
fighters
shield.
turn up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super practical.
Slow on retreat here. It's the way he likes it. 8,100.
There, that's shooting the ground now. Yeah, so in the next patch, we're actually releasing 2 naval units.
So those are and are they the final units? Did you say?
They're going to be the final units, yeah. So when we release a unit, it's
Right.
usually a replacement for an existing unit, and at that point, it's considered
and
done because, well, you could improve them forever.
I was
In
gonna say,
fact,
isn't
I'll
that
look
what
back
FAF
at
is
some
all
of the
about?
units I replaced in 2000, in 2017,
Yeah.
right? You have to basically say, okay, those are done until the next round, which will be after 100 units have been done. Each faction has 100 units in it, so got plenty of time. Well, that PD just
Clearly.
having a bad day, isn't it? And there we go.
Oh,
Boom.
we're online.
Yeah, that's the latest unit to get released. We released it practically a day or two before the tournament happened, with all the top secret fixes to all the abuses we could find just in time for the tourney. So, and yeah, that's the T1 radar. So one interesting thing is that Nomads have the best radars in the game, of course. They have the best everything. Yeah, but these radars, they can be boosted, right? So for the incredible price of quadrupling your energy costs, it can increase the radius on the radar.
By how much, though?
By an amount. I don't know. It's a mystery.
You don't just have the figures.
I think it's a significant amount. But basically the Omni, right? 2,000 normally, it's 8,000.
So what do you mean the inner Omni or like the outer radar on the Omni?
No, the Omni,
so
the Omni sensor, right? So it's 2,000 energy upkeep normally, and it's 8,000. So that's like 3 T3P gens that you need to keep it.
But I mean, great if you're getting to
expensive.
late game stage and you've got all the power in the world, then it's
Now it still costs, right? You know, P-gens aren't pretty unless they're donated. Right. That's how we do it. We live off donation, just like that. Or no, Nomads Omnis live off donation.
Matron tearing it up with his T2 gunships.
Oh, and actually, just so you know, Apophonus crawled his way up from the losers bracket, so this may be a game that he lost. You never know. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I don't think it's believable though. You waited too long for that tidbit. If you'd have come straight out with it.
Well, as I said, I can neither confirm nor deny Apophonus' victory in this game. That's how it's going to work.
Whoa.
And since I react in the same way, oh yeah, the sluggers are coming out. The sluggers have AoE on their shells. So they're the only heavy T3 unit to do so. And that means that in the combination with the EMP tank, which helps you bunch up their enemies, right, they can slug them, and basically they're actually kind of one of the weakest units if you don't use the AoE. But if you do use the AoE, that's
very
where they come in.
kind of broad AoE
advantage.
theme as one of their metas.
It's the artillery bombardment faction that loves unpacking.
It's the unboxing, unpacking
faction.
AoE faction.
Artillery bombardment faction, yeah. They have the lowest HP in the game, so their T1 tanks, they have less HP than Mantis. Not much, but yeah, there we go. And then the tank destroyers coming in, so you could just about see them with their orange shots. Yeah, they're basically the artillery replacement for the Nomads. So as you know, the Nomads have the mobile anti-air artillery, but that's so bad against units that they actually need a second unit to do the unit thing. So what other factions can do is, for instance, you can spam Medusa. In the good old days, you used to do that all day long because you didn't have factory HQs back then, and they were the DPS unit, and the Nomads didn't have a DPS unit, so the tank destroyer is their DPS unit. It's got 30 DPS, it's not that much, but because it's got this high alpha strike, it's actually pretty good against early Tech 2 units, and it's got the long range on it, so it's got the same range as the Aurora.
So upgrades going down now on the comms. Is there anything funky that the ACU can do that's faction unique? Like, or is it kind of...
Of course and always. So, as you know, it's got the orbital bombardment upgrade. So right now he's just getting T3, so that's boring. So the orbital bombardment upgrade, which is the replacement for the TML. So whereas the TML just does 6,000 damage on where you point, this thing it's inaccurate, but it does 2,000 damage per missile. It fires 2 missiles, and then there's an upgraded version which fires 4, and those are like artillery shells almost. So they're really powerful, and they have high AoE, so they're much better against armies, but not as good against snipes. Yeah, and then they have all sorts of funky things. So their gun upgrades, they have double gun, and it's basically you upgrade it once and you don't get any DPS, you get range and area of effect. And then you upgrade it the second time, and then you get a second gun barrel on your ACE.
So it doubles it up.
Which doubles the DPS, obviously.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's their upgrades, and then they also have the Intel probe upgrade, which releases an Intel probe from the orbital frigate, and what that does is it shows radar on the map, and you can shoot it down with TMD. So early on you can't really stop it, but if you've got T2 you can actually deny the intel by building some TMD. And then they have the advanced version of that, which actually shows wider radius, and it shows vision as well. So the basic probe only shows you radar and sonar, whereas the advanced probe it shows you vision as well, so you can have like a free scouts. It doesn't cost anything to build. It costs to upgrade, but the probes themselves are free. They're just on a timer. And that's the left arm, or is it the right arm? We may never know. And then on the back they have rest, which of course has to be special. So they have the best rest in the game, clearly.
What? Better than Aeon?
No, it's just they have the best everything, right?
Oh, I
style,
see. Not the best functionality in this particular case.
But the style's worth it, right? You demoralize the enemy because you're styling
of your LED hover vehicles. That's it.
Yeah, because of the rude boys. I mean,
that is a thing of beauty, though.
Yeah, so the rude boy. Yeah, there we go. Is the LED hover tank. Green in this case.
Off he goes.
Rude boy. Then the engineer's got him as well.
Mauler.
So the rude boy Ras, yeah, that thing can fire while moving. He's the artillery, the Mauler, and the rude boy Ras can toggle between two different Rases.
And what are the differentials between them?
So as you know, the Ras for different factions has a bit of diversity. So some factions have more mass income, some factions have less energy and more energy income, right? So the Aeon has a lot of both, and then the Seraphim I think has the most energy income.
I'll believe you.
Yeah, well the Nomads one can toggle between the two, so it can toggle between a very high mass output and a high energy output. You can balance your eco like a mass fabricator.
Like on the fly, or is it an upgrade to toggle?
No, it's toggle on the fly, yeah. Which gives it the most flexibility.
I mean, it would be a lovely sort of feature, but it wouldn't really be as practical. You can imagine if you had to commit to, one style permanently.
Yeah. So Torhen Bartel is asking whether they nerfed all the other T3 mobile artillery to deploy slower. I don't know, but the Aeon artillery can also shoot while moving, so it's just like that one, basically. Yeah, it's pretty. It's very similar to the Aeon mobile artillery, which has the same kind of ability. There.
Waiting to see all of the glorious experimentals make an appearance again. We're going to get that far is the question. 24 minutes.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
So, I mean, we're pretty close in eco. 289, 292, jostling around. Ooh, strap bomber. Hovering, not doing anything interesting. There we go.
Well, it's doing something interesting now.
A couple of engineers.
Just for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Nomads have a field engineer.
Like the Sparky.
Like
but
the
not
Sparky,
being UEF,
but obviously better
because Sparky.
No, it's better because it's got style. I mean, the Sparky's pretty cool, which is why we had to beat it.
Nothing
So
sacred.
what the I don't know. Yeah, and the Nomads ASF are coming in. They're the
Right.
new models. So just shot down that strap. Beautiful. So what the field engineer does, it doesn't have a weapon, and it can only build defensive structures like the Sparky, but it has TMD.
That's pretty cool.
It's a weak version of the TMD,
What is? I haven't
but
actually
it's
looked
there.
at the
So,
TMDs yet in operation. How do they function? Are they?
the Nomad's TMD is the best TMD. You know,
yes,
you
I
can
can.
kind of see the pattern, right? The Nomad X is the best X, right? Performance-wise, it's actually, I'll loathe to say, probably weaker than the others a little bit. What it does is it has awesome
Clearly.
effects that make up for it. So rather than firing one shot, it
It
actually
can't be
fires in
worse
a
than
burst.
the buzzkill, surely. UEF.
I could neither
UEF
confirm.
TMD. Loathed as I am, is my favourite faction. It's not great. Let's face it. It's barely fit for
Yep.
purpose.
They're not actually that bad. I think it's a little bit overhyped, the whole TMD thing. I'm gonna stand up in defense of the UEF and say that their TMD isn't actually any worse than the Seraphim
Well,
TMD.
maybe.
And it's only marginally worse than the Cybran TMD.
Maybe.
And by stand up, I mean I've checked the stats, and the Seraphim stats
Yeah,
are
But
identical.
the stats,
every
I'm
way.
telling you, I think there's a glitch. Yeah,
It's
no,
the
it's
placebo
not.
effect.
There's a glitch in the Matrix somewhere where the stats aren't playing
Well, it's
out
gotta be a
the
glitch in the
same.
matrix of real
And
life,
the
not in the
buzzkill
game.
just is ineffectual compared to the others. I'm telling you. Maybe I can get on board with the Seraphim being sucky too, but I don't know. I think it's just resentful for the sheer number of times I've been
No, it is
sniped.
worse than the Cybran TMD, right? It is worse than the Cybran TMD, and the reason for that is actually really interesting. So they have all the same stats, but the Cybran
There you
TMD has the beam, right? And the beam travels instantly, so they
Yeah.
have slightly less overkill on missiles when you have many of them, right? Single TMD, there's basically no difference because there's nothing to overkill. So that's the difference between the Cybran and the not Cybran TMD. And then the Nomads TMD fires first, so we actually had to write some very special code in order to avoid horrible overkill, because otherwise it would be the worst TMD. And it actually fires, and then it can reload mid-burst and all that kind of. There's all sorts of clever code, but in any case, the takeaway is that it
That's
looks
the
awesome,
most important thing.
and it looks so. It is the most important thing. That's literally like the main design consideration I had when making it. You know, I can make it work good enough, and after that, it's just awesomeness.
Mauler's getting some action here. Leading nicely. That one's begging for a...
Get
Yeah, it
begging to
really
be
is.
mauled by the other maulers.
It's a cat sneeze away from death.
Lucky miss there.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Oh, there we go. The D3 gunship comes along, drive by, you know. Our Nomad,
They
officially
are.
the rude
They
boys
are,
back from them.
clearly. Drop-
They've got drive by.
LEDs.
They've got LED lights.
They just need ghetto music.
They
as
they
go
pack
along.
heat. They pack the most heat.
Clearly,
Right.
all the glow. I had to turn Bloom off. They pack so much heat.
Yeah, and also with the guns, right? Have the
Paralon about
no,
to break
Roller
in.
died.
No.
no, he's got a stack of sluggers.
Keep threatening to make
there.
a breach up here, but never seemingly quite able to see it through. Ooh, a lot of gunships going southwesterly. Where are these broadswords heading? Hit out on these. How does the flak measure up? Yeah, pretty good.
As you
They
know,
have the best flak.
As you know, it's yeah. So
I'm learning,
Good.
I'm learning.
You learn the patterns. Yeah. So well, also check out the Nomads ASF. They actually have these like wing things that don't have wings like the other planes do, and these wings are animated. unpack. Well, you see the pattern, right? Yeah, you're seeing the theme here, right? They unpack when the ASF is fighting.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so they actually change position. It's like combat mode
cool.
and flight mode or something. Yeah. It's these subtle things which took me like, 2 hours
one's
to
gonna
make.
notice.
No one's going to see them unless I tell them.
That's it.
Unless I tell them, right? And even if I tell them, they don't notice. They can't tell.
One hero brick intercepting a slugger.
So yeah, the Nomad's flak, it's got a very high muzzle velocity, so it can actually deal a lot more consistent damage than the other flaks, which have these kind of, flying snails as they crawl through the air.
Targets as well, obviously, as they pass overhead.
Yeah, so they're very good at missing anything that's flying away from them, interestingly, and this is a limitation of the game itself. So the reason flak misses so much is because the aim controllers, the things that control where the unit points at to fire its gun, are fundamentally flawed in subcom. And this is a computational thing, because actually you need to have this kind of complex math in order to work out. Because the thing is if you point a weapon somewhere, you need to know where the projectile will travel to,
leading and...
right?
Yeah.
How much time it's going to take, and if the unit's moving, how much time. And you can see that that's an issue, right? Depending on how much time the projectile takes, then the unit might move a different amount of distance, which changes the time the projectile will take to get there. And basically, how the way you solve this is you solve it iteratively. So you make an approximate solution, then you refine it, then you refine it. So what the subcom engine does, it keeps the approximate solution, and in order to avoid your computer from exploding, it just sticks with the approximation, and it's good enough.
That's
in
the
most
thing,
cases.
and it's one of those things that probably adds a certain amount of nice randomization as well, and effects. It will feel more like, random retaliation when it's missing a lot, rather than everything homing in perfectly, leading the target perfectly.
Yeah. So what you see is this really interesting phenomenon is that when an aircraft is flying towards anti-air, it gets hit a lot more consistently than when it's crossed over the top of the anti-air and it's flying away from it. So there's a little bit of tidbit that
So all
nobody
these
ever
little
knew,
things
probably.
you find out when you're neck deep in the code and...
Yeah. And that's a result of a decision GPG made in order to make the game run faster. They said, this is good.
We don't have the
need to make it
technology
any
to
more
make
accurate. And they
use of
probably
all
made
of the
the right
cores that
decision.
people will have 10 minutes from now, so instead, we'll just do this.
Yeah.
That was a royal aerial roasting that Team 1 just dished out on the front line. Once again, pushing Paralon back. It's amazing how static this has been.
+2.
See if it gets a breakthrough anywhere. What's everyone working on back here? Shield generator, nothing crazy. Where were we at eco-wise? So Zlow's out ahead on 335, Paralon's on 283. So not vast quantities of mass where they want to start doing crazy things with it, but yeah, 32 minutes and no experimentals inside or anything. Oh, I tell a lie, one on the way. Missile tank.
That's the crawler. So you can see the building effects and play. This one's printing sideways, whereas the structures print upwards. This one prints sideways. Yeah, there you go. And because you have bloom off criminal.
Yeah, I'm destroying it, but at least we can actually see something. That's the important thing. Actually, I don't know if it would be as bad on this because it's not. Let's turn it back on for a bit because it's a slightly darker, reddy kind of thing. Where are we at? Options, yada yada yada.
Yeah, no, I always play with bloom because otherwise my favourite faction doesn't get the best it deserves.
Yeah, that's definitely not as bright as the previous map. It's those super.
Yeah, the other map was actually
beige.
Pretty. I think that guy developed the game with bloom off, so he made it bright enough. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like if you play with bloom off and you make maps of bloom off, then you make the lighting make it work. So you're creating this divide back community, the
This
bloomers
is the thing,
versus
and
the
sometimes
It's like the boomers versus the millennials. You have the bloomers versus the dark
just
millennials
as
or
visceral
something.
and as ill-tempered. But the yeah, I mean, I've done a load of casts with on and off, and usually I end up changing them because someone bitches in the comments about it. But I don't know.
Like my eye retinas are
It really is though. I mean, a lot of the time it's just map dependent, or I put it on because I was doing a screenshot or something for the thumbnail and forgot to turn it off.
Actually,
What's
there's an
that?
easy solution. Just tell them to wear shades.
Bloom shades.
And it makes you look more awesome.
Slow on the full back into the top left.
Damming up.
Yeah,
Few
couldn't get
bricks
any
coming in.
progress over on the right, so they've hung a Louis. Seems to be a lot more work being done airwise from Team 1 throughout.
Top team really got the biggest
Yeah.
SF pile. They've kind of been keeping that pile for a while now, and whenever anyone else dares to challenge them, they just go in and
That's
absorb.
the thing, they're going to bring that crawler out in a minute, and it's going to get insta-gibbed by one of these roving bands of gunships.
Or just,
Yeah.
surprise strats or something, yeah.
What's going on over here? Long range.
So here's an interesting one. The Nomads air staging. You can insert your own sentences here now. I've primed
It's
you
the
all
best
successfully.
looking air station.
Yep. Well, and but this one, it's not an air staging, it's a
Okay.
hangar. So it is an aircraft carrier, but on the land. So when your aircraft goes in, it goes inside
cool.
the air staging. And it gets hidden, just like, so you can
That's
hide
cool.
units in there, and it
Yeah.
can repair 10 units
Like
at once, because it can store, not 4,
Ah.
but 10.
So you can do a bit like with aircraft carriers, the surprise. Pata!
You can
I
get
like
the
it.
surprise strats out.
Like
That's
it a
right.
lot.
Of course, the downside of that is if you kill the air staging when it's got 10
Yeah.
surprise strats in it,
Yeah, there is
you lose
that.
all of them.
But then you clearly took your eye off the ball if you've allowed that to happen, so it's your own silly fault.
Yeah. So, it's an advantage and a disadvantage.
Where is this heading? Look at that!
There we go. First volley.
Few into the edge of the cliff, only
We're
a
actually
few
gonna,
missiles got through.
We're actually going to upgrade these missile effects so they use the arcade booms from the TML, from the MML. Because right now they're just these kind
Yeah.
of, white blips, but we'll have the beautiful explosions for
They
them
do.
because they deserve
Definitely. That experimental deserves
really do.
all of the love.
it. Yeah, that's one of those that needs a new model. So it would look as fashionable as it
Whoa.
is.
A bunch of units died in that. Solid strat right to the face. Looked like about 3 or 4 maulers bought it. Megalith on the way. Oh, what have we got going on over here? Oh, I'm looking forward for more strategic missile defense. It's pretty funky looking. Looking for more artillery.
Well, you may find one in the bottom left corner by Apophonus.
There it is. No, it's a devour.
No, that's a
sorry.
nuke.
So
Sorry.
hang on, what's the
Quality
what's
cast.
the name of the T3 artillery again? Desolator. You see, it's
The
all the
Desolator.
D's. You've got to mix up the names for simpletons like myself.
Yeah. I didn't know it was called. Well, actually, the problem is Devourer is actually a pretty good name for the nuke.
Oh yeah.
You'll see why. And you'll see
You
why,
have to warn me in advance.
because
this
we're going to
time.
see the nuke in this game. Yeah. We shall try our best. No, don't worry, this time you only need to watch the nuke landing, not launching.
parked pretty far up. Can they keep it safe is the question.
We shall see.
What's Slow got going on?
I think Slow built some orbital bombardment in this game, the orbital bombardment upgrade, but I don't know if he actually ever used it. And here you can see the Nomads air stations, and Slow has a few of them in there. Yeah.
Do they need to be upgraded or anything, or are they just as is?
No, that's it, they're done. So you can, if you look at it from the side, it's actually a hangar.
Here we go.
Strats are coming in.
Crawler's about to get it.
He's definitely about to get it. Look at that. It's the side strats from the side, it was all the diversion. There you saw some Nomad strats.
There it goes.
They're a little bit like the gunships finishing off, yep.
Yeah, got some serious air power.
So much for crawling with that crawl. I couldn't crawl out of that one. I don't like the name crawl, it needs a better name. And we already talked about this with Jericho.
About rocket goodness. You've got to go for Jericho. It's got to be done.
I'm making an issue on the repository right now. It shall be done.
Decided. Totally didn't name it because Marvel totally named it, but I feel like I almost sort of had input.
You take full credit. Then Jericho is a pretty common name.
Exactly. I could have been referencing the wrestler.
Yeah, there you go. And the description is, as Guile wills it, so shall it be.
Did he get overruled by everyone else? No!
I'll put my I'll throw my political clout around. Oh, they've just had a bit of a bad day with those, didn't they? Strats from the Nomads, that's what it was. Very nice bombs there, actually.
They're sending these experimentals in, but got no air coverage for them.
Fortunately, there's a mountain which has been completely.
Yeah, you look at it like that,
destroyed
and it
by
just
the
doesn't look like anything, does it? And then, surprise!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why they're hitting the ground.
It's been so peppered.
I have to say, that's my pet peeve with the
A
cyber
few
mobile
black
artillery.
spots on everything.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
crater decal is
excessive.
a little bit too.
But they are a filthy, dirty people. So it totally makes sense in that respect.
My life's goal is now to turn Nomad Guile from a
Never.
UEF boy into
Oh,
a Nomad boy.
to be honest, I'm already sort of a Nomads fan.
It's a much
I thought you
easier
were gonna
sell,
say
isn't
something
it?
else. I was like, what? No.
When the
And then-
faction's good, it doesn't need much convincing.
Natron has built an experimental. Where are all of the incoming strats? There they are. Megalith is still pretty healthy. Another round of crawler missiles. Are they crawler missiles? No, they look like they behave
They're not
differently.
crawler missiles, as you thought. Yeah, so that's the static T3 rocket
No way.
that's from Nomads, which is.
What
Look at that, yeah, you
is
just
that?
it's there, right there.
Kept that one quite. Oh,
Check out the reload
Fires and
animation on this thing though. But you can see it actually flips over to load.
what? That's a bit cool. That's a bit cool.
A bit cool.
Yeah, Nomads is pretty cool, man. That's my new favourite thing ever.
Yep. Yeah, but watch the
Look at that
missiles
high
as
arc
they come
that
in
they're
there.
traveling.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to escape.
No, you
And
sit
then-
at the end. Like a Merv.
Yeah. They're like
Yeah.
shaped charges, right? You know, like IEDs, like pipe bombs. They can have like they have like this plate that you put into the explosion, right? And then the idea is that as the thing blows up, it basically turns it inverts the whole plate, and it turns into this like bell shape, and that thing is projected at super high speeds at the enemy. And that's kind of the idea behind these missiles, that they're actually this shaped self-forming charge that shoots this bullet thing at the end. Or whatever your imagination
Sure, why
can
not?
supply to explain this.
I can go with that. Megalith is having a very bad day. We've got a ranking vet, I think. Oh, maybe not. I feel like its HP went up.
Well, the gunship's not giving it a good time.
There's only a few broadswords left. So chunky though, those things.
And the strats are helping
Yeah,
as
down
well.
it goes.
Going down now.
No, got a ranking vet. Make you wait just a little longer.
Trying to bring it
It's
back
the
from
bane
the
of all
brink.
casters, the ranking vet.
And a
Well,
bane
yeah,
of all
there's that
losing
too.
players. And they finally
The
say,
campaign to remove veterancy has been going forever and has had just no traction. No one ever seems to listen.
I'll have you know, this is fixed in equilibrium.
Yeah.
If you remember that phrase. Though I don't actually work on it anymore. So for those who don't know, it's the balance. It's a big ass
Okay.
balance mod for FAF, and it's one of the featured mods. So it's the only balance mod that's featured. But I don't really develop it anymore. I
And
switched to
how did
Nomads
they
completely.
how did they adjust that?
It just removes instant heal for veterancy.
And does
Simple as.
veterancy
So actually,
still
most
like,
of the
what is it? It
changes
still adds like
from equi-
overall HP and regen? Right.
Yeah, it still adds HP and regen,
Yeah.
but since it doesn't get the instant heal, it doesn't like
Yeah, you can't
can't
just
just
keep
stack
going
it,
through.
right? So most of the changes are actually integrated into FAP regarding veterancy. So veterancy is now mass based. The regeneration pattern, there was like a kind of numbers for it. That's all in there. Then FAF just went and added a couple of other things on top of it, and those are basically differences.
Yeah.
Bit of interesting
All this little
history there.
stuff that you don't get to hear about what's going on behind the scenes.
No, balance is always
Oh,
loads of
God,
drama.
yeah,
I've
I
given
know.
up on that. I don't do it anymore. It's so much. It's just stress free now, you know. I just make cool explosions. Cool,
I
you
think
know?
ultimately that was the thing
Um,
that drove Zep over the edge back in the day. Was just all of the
The Desolator.
Oh.
No,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
the
nearly
anti-nuke.
gone.
And it's loaded. It's a loaded anti-nuke.
We need some more shields up promptly.
We need quite a lot more
Is
shit.
that the only one they've got?
Because that one is on 800 HP and it's the only one they've got. And the Desolator. I kind of like that name, you know. It's the same guy. It's the same name as the guys from Red Alert 2, you know. That was
Oh.
a very close shot. Oh, the shield's back up. There's your nail biting casting content. Although we're doing a bad job of hyping it up, which is saying like, yeah, here we go. Look at that.
It'll be dead soon, maybe.
Boom, boom.
Oh, that's it, surely.
Strats coming in.
There we go. Down and out.
Yep. And now the Devourer.
It's loaded. Does he realise it's gone down?
It's loaded. Let's
We're
see.
waiting with bated breath.
Any moment now. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I expect it to happen. I'm definitely
It
pretty.
was clearly being
Well-
targeted, so unless there's another...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe they're just checking or something. I don't know. Come on.
there
Maybe
must
there's
be
a second act.
anti-nuke. Good. Let's see where the Devourer's firing now.
It'd be funny if we zoom out
Wait.
and then it's
Yeah, there's another one right there.
Yeah, there is a second, but it's not loaded.
It's not actually loaded, but of course they don't know.
No, but they don't know that.
Oh,
Psychological warfare.
oh, one more of those will do it.
Very close. It's on
Shield
800
about to
HP
blink
again.
back on. Will it get there in time? There it. Oh
Strategic
gosh!
launch detected.
The arrogance, the assumption that it's going to die, but they're going to get lucky anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the nuke launches out.
Oh well.
But we missed the nuke launch.
What are you going to do?
Who cares? Well, we're not gonna miss the nuke landing.
Definitely not.
Never. Prepare. No, we should
Prepare
hype
your
this up.
anus.
So, Nomad's nuke, as we know. But prepare. This is gonna be the most epic thing ever.
Better land now.
So here it comes.
There better not be another one that
Coming
we've
down.
missed.
Still coming across. It better land. I'm pretty sure it's gonna land. There we go. Check out this shit.
Oh my god! Oh my god, my wife's gonna be so pissed off. Shouting, there's kids asleep upstairs. That's seriously cool.
Best nuke
That's
in the game.
ridiculous.
Bitches.
That's legit ridic.
Yeah, so balance-wise, it does all the same stuff a regular nuke does. But
Oh my
look
God.
how much awesome it is. They win on style points alone.
Just
There's a reason it's called the Devourer.
totally worthy name right there. So surely that's going to be the demise for Team 1. Going after a Novax up at the back.
Yeah, well, that's why it's there. I must say, Novax is a great
Yeah,
unit.
since they changed it back in the day.
Not the
But
most. Oh, actually, I haven't kept up with all these
oh, I mean,
balance
it was
news.
a long time ago. I'm sure you'll be aware of my information is very out of date.
I definitely remember games where I had 10 Novaxes and I could break through
Yeah,
one
it's so
T3
much
shield.
better than it used to be. It's actually worth building now.
And the Novax goes down. However, Apophonus, being the developer of Nomad, is going to entertain us a little bit more, and he's going to build the T4 transform. So
Cool.
I think he might be building it now. And then we're going to see a bit of that. But yeah,
That was
the nuke.
that was
There we
totally
go.
worth waiting for. And that was the reason that you wanted this replay, wasn't it? Yeah, I could tell, and
It
it's
was the
and it's
reason I wanted
justified,
this replay.
totally justified. I don't see how they're going to recover after that. They're doing a bang-up job though of harassing up front and keeping them back. Surely, what do they actually like on eco? They're not actually badly off at all on eco.
Lowe's got loads of math, yeah.
Actually doing fine.
From all the reclaim
Yeah.
of his own stuff, probably. So, in response to Derek D, the Nomads RT is actually really good, and in this replay it's actually too good, so it's actually getting nerfed. It doesn't have a shorter range. It's just too good. It's like the Aeon RT, but it's slightly more flexible. So, yeah, it doesn't have any disadvantages right now. What we're adding some disadvantages to it. So we're nerfing it in the next patch.
I'm glad you're keeping up with the stream chat. I'm just mesmerised by all of this new stuff that I haven't seen before. Like, I'm not able to. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
And of course, the rude boy.
That
the rude
nuke,
boy.
I'll be honest. That's really knocked me for 6. Like, I'm actually kind of stunned at the graphics on that. The nuke was the thing. You know, when I played first Subcom, like.
Yeah. That's
It
probably
was,
what
like,
really makes it, isn't it? Like when you see the nuke and you can hear the sound. Like,
Yeah,
the sound
that
is
was-
just important, right? It's like this
That was
kind
it.
of rumbling
Of
as like, you know, you hear all the
RTSs,
ground and
it
the
was
trees
the first
getting
game
kicked up.
where, you know, and I always liked the RTSs where you could manually fire missiles and things at places and pick your targets and that sort of thing. But the nukes were always weak. It didn't matter what RTS it was. And the first SOPCOM, that was the thing. When I first played the first one with my mates online, I was like, do you know what? I'm not really feeling this game. And it was right up to the point where I fired my first nuke, and I was like, this game's amazing. This game is incredible.
Like, oh my god!
It's, I don't know. I just for a moment got teleported back to 2005-06 there for a moment.
There we go. Nomads can officially make people time travel. You heard it here first.
It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
Strategic launch detected.
It's actually really incredibly awesome that they did the game like this, because there are other games which have a similar scale to SOPCOM, right?
Yeah.
But they're just not good. They're just not good, and that's because you actually have to get everything right.
Balancing act. For every new unit you add, it's a balance with every other unit that you've got to, and that's an enormous undertaking.
Yeah, and also for the graphics. So, for instance, if you just have all these units but you get the strategic icons wrong, you can't make a sense of anything that's happening. And likewise for all the other stuff as well. It's kind of the sounds and things like that. That makes a huge difference.
Give me the goodness. That is so cool.
Yeah. Now I cleaned up the code for that, so it sucks the buildings in slowly at first, and then they accelerate towards it.
Too far away from Natron himself. Oh look, I'm casting like TA for life. That's what he always used to do. It was just unintelligible.
Did you know there's actually a Nomads faction UI as well? So if you press Alt and the right arrow keys, you can switch to it.
Do you have to be selected on one of the things, or do you have to be playing it?
I don't know. It's just in the game. Alt and the right arrow keys. Yeah.
So is that the Nomads one? That's the Seraphim one.
The Seraphim one.
Cybrint.
It cycles through all of them, right? This is Aeon, and this is Nomads.
So it's UEF,
it's currently
but
copying the UEF one. Yeah. But top secret things, we actually have our own model for the Nomads border.
Do you know what? I never knew you could do that.
Well, now you do. Here you go, developer tricks.
I need to get more people on the stream so they can educate me.
Yeah, you can always plug Nomads with me. Who knows what other secrets I'll tell you next time.
Oh, they're just getting wrecked by this artillery now. Yeah, I love these effects, especially the kind of distortions. So the story behind this is the Nomads, they have this warp thing FTL, right? And they actually weaponize it with this artillery. It makes mini, it just accelerates everything at FTL. That's awesome.
In every direction, and that creates the explosion or something. I don't know. I'm making it up.
But despite,
I can do that because I'm the developer, right?
Makes total sense. Unless Slow though dies to the artillery here, it still doesn't look like this game is about to end anytime soon. I mean, if you look at the map, I think he is.
Well, you can actually probably plus to it.
Probably gonna go here.
I'm gonna say it's a little bit of a disappointing ending, but it's not that disappointing because we get to see all the. Yeah, and that's the Nomads ACU explosion as well.
Cool.
There we go.
That nuke though was something else.
We're actually gonna try and tint it orange a little bit, so that right now it's just black and white. It might be just black and orange in a little bit of time, so it looks even better. And we're trying to. And this is actually the really hard part. We're trying to make the units spiral in, not just get sucked in, but spiral.
I can imagine that's a veritable nightmare on the modding front.
Yeah, because right now what happens is, this is coding wise, right? So the unit itself gets moved, right? It only knows what position it needs to move to, and then it gets sucked in. Whereas the other way, you'd have to create some kind of attachment from the projectile. You spin the projectile around, and then the unit's attached to these points. It gets really, really complicated, basically. Because what happens is you need to have a slider in order to move things. And there we go, in the bottom left corner, we're building the T-form transport.
Size of it. Does it get finished?
It's the longest unit in the game. It does get finished. We're actually going to see it in action. So this is a popular playing for the streamers here.
What does that remind me of? That reminds me of something right there that I can't think what.
Yeah, so this is a new model. Pride and Joy.
So this was changed in the last patch, was it?
No, well, it's changed this year. But yeah, it's new as in like less than 10 years old. And as you know, the transport can load the beamer inside.
Mad. It is enormous.
And it can also load the Monkey Lord. And I think the Fat Boy, but not the GC and not like the Megalith. So it can't load every
spam
experimental.
heading south. No cut through.
Yeah. It's time buying tactics, that's what it is. And you can see the weakness of the Nomads artillery. It's very good at hitting cliffs, so nature is just
there's
hiding.
no way. Oh my god.
And he's also doing the same thing as the Claws.
1700 HP.
He's got about 2k HP.
Oh, that wasn't the. I thought that was going to be the transport. That was something else.
No, it's finishing. It's finishing.
Are you
He'll
sure?
be fine.
Okay.
Spoilers, he doesn't die. Yeah.
Right, slow down, slow down, slow down. And he's going to load it up.
Yeah. And you can see that the transport has animated engines on it,
sick.
of course.
I got to say, I adore the amount of work that's gone into this. I really do.
And also you're a -4, I think.
I am. Just wanted to get a good glimpse of it.
And it's actually got like little legs which grab the beamer by its engines. So it doesn't just like transport the thing, it physically fits together
grabs.
perfectly, millimeter by millimeter,
So
yeah.
70,000 hit points.
Yeah. So those two combined, the beamer can shoot from the transport. And those two combined, yes, and those two combined make the 4th Nomads experimental. This is the experimental ghetto gunship. First hand.
So many toys.
Yeah. And it costs like a gunship because the beamer costs 20k, the transport costs 15k,
but
35k.
you basically made the other factions uncool to play. Like,
Well, that's my
I know,
job.
but it now means that the other factions urgently need an update.
Well, you know,
Well,
what do I do?
You've
I'm
got
the
4
Nomad
more factions
developer.
to be getting on with. That's what you can do.
Yeah. No, I haven't finished this one yet. You haven't
Keep busy
seen
for the
the
next
best
20
of it.
years.
Yeah, no, we've only replaced. Yeah, there it goes. And if you tilt your camera sideways, the beamer, right? It's symmetrical in the horizontal plane as well. So it deploys its beam from the bottom when it's in the transport and deploys it from the top when it's on the ground. We worked all this
you're
out.
so dead.
Like that.
You're so dead from giant flying transport of doom.
Fortunately, the beamer's trying to touch. There we go. The beam is coming.
That is a great way to end it.
Yep. He did it for us. Apophis did it for us.
Just awesome.
Yeah, and then these two units combined in the promotional content top secret folder, which you could feel free to share, by the way. So all the Nomads has a Google Drive. All the assets are public, right? You can load up the models. You can load up everything, right? It's open source. Everyone can look at it. There's tools for making this stuff. So also because you can't just do the job. You have to do the job. Like I had to write plugins for the exporters for the models, so I'm officially now the maintainer for all of the model plugins for the subcom format. So I maintain the Blender one and I maintain the 3ds Max one.
Just mental. I honestly, I can't get over how much work has gone into this. It's mind-blowing. Are there any questions? I know it'll take a while to come through, but while we're just closing up here, are there any questions for Exotic in chat, guys. Anything you want to know, feel free to whack it in the live chat. Maybe get a chance to answer them. But yeah, I just honestly, that nuke at the end there just blew me away. I know my miss. I'm literally, when I get off in a minute, my missus is going to have a go at me for waking the kids up, because that was just insane.
Did you get sucked
Yeah, I
into
did.
the faction?
I am totally sold.
That was a nuke
I'm
pun there.
totally sold, bro. Like, yeah, madness. Properly madness.
We've heard it here first. Nomad is officially girls' favorite faction.
But will it ever? The question is, will it ever make official SOPCOM or official FAF law? Is the question.
Yeah. So the answer is not until we go through the graphics overhaul. So that's going to take a while. So if you want it faster,
yeah,
help out, right? All you people watching, if you want this mod in the game officially faster, come in to the Discord server, contribute your models. So most important thing is making the model. That's the hardest job. Everything else, like the code, whatever, like easy peasy, peanuts, right? You know, you might think it's a long way to the nearest bus stop, but that's peanuts to space, right? Yeah, so that's peanuts to modeling. All that stuff, like everything. Texturing is like basically making the model 80% of the time, 20% of the time, everything else. So seriously, yeah. So like it's not even making the model; it's making the knowing what to make, right? It's making the decision for what that's what's hard, right? So, and then after that, we can petition to put Nomad into the main game. And I have a genius plan of how to approach that, how to do that, because there are certain features, certain advantages which you get, and there are certain ways of doing it which make everyone more amenable to it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I won't push you on that. I don't want to mess anything up.
But basically involved adding, just reworking the lobby so that it supports all factions, right? And then adding Nomad is so much easier after that, because
I honestly, I hope you're successful, because I think it will give FAF a real shot of life, a real new lease of life. But at the same time, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think you're going to have an uphill struggle, because there are so many purists out there. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be hard.
It is, well, that's the thing, right? Nomad development is designed so that if we disappear tomorrow, you still have, like, there's no sort of, like, we're not sitting in years of content. So if we'll get as far as we get, and then it's done, right? So if we disappear tomorrow, it's fine. The mod's still working. It's still there. Everything you see, like, obviously there's stuff in the queue which hasn't been finished, and it's all on the drawing board. But other than that, go for it. And there we go. That's the mod now. Imagine how it will be in the future. Even better. I will make Tropico great again. It will be even bigger, even better.
Oh man, just my mage. Guile, can you buy the rights to SOPCOM and re-release the game in 2020 HD? Well, considering I need a new boiler, a new cooker, that my roof is leaking in 5 places. Yeah,
just add it to your shopping list. What's the problem?
Large,
boiler, peanuts,
corporate purchases of
IP,
intellectual property. Yeah, no worries. Oh my god. So what have we got there, Guffman? What language do you write the model in? Says Gulfman.
The model.
That's what he says.
Okay, so the model itself is made in Blender, but like we actually have developers who are working on any program you want, and then we just put it into Blender, so it really doesn't matter. And there are 2 importers for SOPCOM, so I maintain both of them. They're for 3ds Max and they're for Blender, right? And you need to get them from my GitHub repo, because all the other ones are horribly out of date. And, well, they work, but the new ones have awesome new features, which just make it so much easier. Like, you get extra animation supports. It like supports sharp edges, so that's a thing that the other ones don't. You kind of have to trick your way around to it. So SOPCOM renders smooth edges, it renders spheres, and it renders sharp edges. and you kind of have to feed the data to it correctly in order to get those. So New Importer does that super easy. You don't need to triangulate your meshes. So this is for modelers, right? Most people don't understand what that even means, probably, right? But basically, it's so much easier to work with. You don't need to like have all the kind of workarounds and crutches that you have normally for subcom modeling. And you just make a model, you plonk it in, and it goes in. Like that's how easy it is now. Yeah, so much better. And all of this is free. All of this is open source, right? So Nomads and Luke Harris,
Yes,
Nomads
indeed.
does have a storyline. It's got a campaign which has not one, not two, but 3 playable missions and
Apparently, it's
6
really
planned,
easy.
right? 3 out of 6. Shut up, guys. Yeah. So word of warning for anyone who thinks it's easy. It's easy is the easy difficulty. Hard is going to be hard, right? Pro tip, right? Hard is hard. My benchmark is if I can't beat it without cheating, that means it's good enough. Right?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be attempting any run-throughs, guys, as I said earlier on, unless it's with some supremely capable people helping me out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're all co-op as well. So a couple of the missions have special. But here's this thing: in the campaign, you get choices. That's right. We're implementing
goodness.
choices into the mission, and it's already working.
That's just crazy.
And those choices will influence the later
What?
missions that you play in the same campaign. Yes, that's right. Basically, if you make a choice, it's going to have consequences in the later mission.
Who's in charge? Is Speed in charge of all of the? Yeah.
Speed. Well, we got the best
Tell
campaigner
that boy
ever,
to hit me up if he
right?
needs
We got the best
voiceover stuff.
campaigner.
I want to get involved, however small.
Well, you know, I'm the PR manager, I guess, for that. Well, we do have a roster of characters. The problem is that we don't have any lines for people to record, right? So we actually
Right.
have a few voice actors,
Yeah,
but they're all kind of waiting for the characters to finish. So actually, I'm just trying to get mission 3 dialogues finalized right now, pretty much, so that we can finally record them and we can put them all in.
Sounds awesome, man. I can't wait. I am going to have to do it. Even if I get destroyed,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to
So-
have to attempt it at some point. I'll get someone who's competent and
Yeah, but you can just pick. You can pick a friend. You can play it through with someone good, and they'll carry you. You know, dial down the difficulty. Yeah, but it's super advanced. So like Speed, as you know, is the king of co-op, right? And his worthy apprentice, Shadow Lord, right? He's made the anti-Nomads campaign as well. So that's a campaign when you play against the Nomads.
wow.
Yeah, so we actually got 2, but the anti-Nomads campaign is like not kind of official because it's not made by our team originally. He just made it by himself.
Work that's
but
gone
I'm
into
totally
it. It's
awesome.
Extraordinary.
It's totally cool. I'm totally cool with supporting it, and like he's actually on the team as well. So like, I don't know. It's up to him if he wants to make it official or not. But like, it ties in with the story and stuff, and like there is a story. And we worked it all out, and it's like it's the best story you'll ever hear, obviously.
I won't lie, man.
And it ties into the original story, so Nomads happens in the same universe.
Yeah.
We don't wreck on anything, which makes it really
is.
challenging.
Trying to
because
slip
you
into
think,
the storyline and
how is it
Exactly.
that Nomads are never mentioned in the
I won't lie, man. I honestly, I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what to expect coming into tonight, but I wasn't prepared to be quite as impressed as I am coming out of it.
Well, you should always be prepared to impress when there's Retard with your stream.
Quality. Right, I'm afraid I'm going to have to wrap it up there. I've got clients in the studio first thing tomorrow. So
It's quite late.
thank you
Quite late
so
for me
much,
as well, and I
Pug,
have a job.
for tonight. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Remember, if you have any employable skills that could go to work to help this mod, get in contact with Exotic. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. And yeah, this thing seems like it's going to go from strength to strength. So with that, we bid you all adieu. Cheers, bud. And